Noah is shocked to discover the unacceptable behavior of her subordinates. Their ridicule sends her into a frenzy of emotion. The atmosphere instantly becomes tense when she turns to Ritokianus, whose silence seems reproachful. Ritokianus teases her with a sarcastic remark, hinting at her excessive seriousness. His calm demeanor only fuels her anger, forcing her to launch into a verbal confrontation. Noah, holding back her emotions, decides to force Ritokianus to open up. She angrily grabs him by the collar, demanding an explanation for his behavior. Her rage mixes with her inner conflict, creating dramatic tension. Ritokianus responds with a slight smile, showing his indifference to the situation. His sarcasm reaches its peak when he points out her hobby, excessive emotionality, emphasizing the contrast between them. Seeing his carefree demeanor, Noah firmly asserts her resolve. She's no longer willing to tolerate his attitude, which underscores her strength and determination. Their argument turns into a personal battle of wills. Ritokianus continues to joke easily, causing Noah to explode. She senses his words are a deliberate provocation and is ready to take extreme measures to preserve her pride. Noah removes her badge, signaling her willingness to resign. Her actions shock her subordinates, who were not expecting such a drastic turn of events. Ritokianus watches her decision with concern, hidden behind a mask of calm. His gaze betrays his inner doubts, despite his outward composure. She declares that she is no longer captain. Her determination wounds Ritokianus, but he doesn't show it, merely silently accepting her decision. Each of them realizes that what happened has changed their relationship forever. The tension is palpable in the air, heralding a new chapter in their story. Noah, her gaze blazing, declares that she is no longer her subordinate's boss. Her words ring with defiance, as if she's long tolerated something unforgivable and is now ready to change the rules of the game. Dressed in an immaculate military uniform, Noah resolutely urges him to remove his formal insignia and engage her in combat. Her anger and insistence are evident in her tone and movements, as if this is a personal confrontation. The white-haired man, Ritokianus, smirked back. His sarcasm-laced words transformed Noah's aggressive challenge into an almost romantic gesture. He masterfully deflected her anger by hinting at his superiority. Ritokianus accepts the challenge with a graceful smile. His calm contrasts with Noah's emotionality. He seems to be enjoying the situation, and his aristocratic bearing only underscores his confidence. A little girl joyfully runs up with something important in her hands. Her innocent smile and happiness illuminate everything around her. She turns to Noah, showing him her discovery, which is clearly of great significance. The girl suddenly throws herself into the arms of the woman who had just tried to hold her back. Warmth and care permeate these moments, as if they had known each other for a long time and were sharing common experiences. The woman, identified as Madame Clara, is surprised by the girl's haste. She wants to understand the reason for such zeal, but the girl insists on showing her what she found, emphasizing its significance. The newspaper features a portrait of Ritokianus. The girl, realizing that this man is the legendary lieutenant general, begins to connect the stories she's heard with reality. Her gaze betrays surprise and admiration. Recalling her sister's words, the girl shares her opinion. She notes that, despite Ritokianus's outward attractiveness, his character is repulsive. This contrast between appearance and personality leaves her perplexed. She's trying to figure out whether such a person is worth remembering as his actions, and words leave conflicting impressions. This sums up her thoughts about him. Noah, holding a newspaper, proudly tells Ace about the pirate gang's exposure. She surprises Ace with her knowledge of complex words, which leaves Ace both amazed and a little perplexed. Noah happily points to the article, trying to emphasize her importance and knowledge. Noah reminisces about her school lessons and boasts of her success. Ace, laughing, confirms that her charge is the smartest in the house. A joyful atmosphere reigns between them, filled with pride and trust. Noah eagerly awaits her grandmother's arrival, dreaming of the gift she's been promised. Her face lights up with anticipation, and her thoughts fill with rosy fantasies, heightening her joy and excitement. Noah notices an unexpected visitor on the horizon. A girl in uniform carrying luggage attracts attention. Ace, surprised by this visit, immediately jumps to her defense. Noah, astonished, joins in. The stranger, who turns out to be her sister, introduces herself. Her appearance in military uniform makes a strong impression on both of them. They try to understand the reason for her unexpected appearance. The guest looks exhausted and asks for water. Noah and Ace are concerned about her condition. They immediately take control of the situation, helping her cope with her fatigue. Ace brings water and asks about the reason for the visit. The guest thanks him for his concern, but her secret remains unsolved. The tension in the conversation is palpable, even through the caring gestures. Noah anxiously asks if her appearance is connected to her job loss. This causes the stranger to become slightly uneasy, and she explains the situation evasively. The guest admits that she left her job voluntarily. She tries not to show her emotions, but her determination is evident in every word, as. And Noah are stunned by her confession. Both girls are stunned by what they hear. Their surprise is emphasized by shared exclamations and an atmosphere of incomprehension. The guest remains a mysterious figure, heightening the intrigue and anticipation of further developments. Despite being close to a long-awaited promotion, Noah left her post, much to Ace's surprise. The girl looked at her with confusion, while her younger sister, overjoyed by her return, embraced Noah with genuine joy. Ace, concerned about the consequences, reminded Noah of the owner's likely reaction, who would clearly be displeased with this action. But Noah, maintaining her composure, noted that they had a more serious problem that needed to be addressed immediately. Noah declared that the most important thing now was to avoid danger, as otherwise they would all be in danger of death. Ace was shocked by her words and asked a direct question, perplexed as to why things were so bad. Noah explained that if they didn't make it in time, a mad dog would catch them. Ace anxiously asked if they were talking about the lieutenant general, but Noah simply waved her hand, deciding to save the explanation for later. Grabbing her sister, Noah ordered, as to bring her money and clothes immediately. The girl was taken aback by the sudden order, but quickly complied, realizing the gravity of the situation. As Noah ran, she silently cursed the crazy dog who had caused her current troubles. Her determination and anger drove her forward without looking back. As she fled, Noah desperately considered how insane the situation was. Her sister, still not fully understanding what was happening, looked at her with concern and trust. In the midst of this tense moment, Noah began to formulate plans. She debated whether to hide in the most remote villa or to go to her grandmother's on the ship to be completely safe. Their escape was suddenly interrupted by the sound of an approaching vehicle. Noah became wary, realizing that time for reflection was running out and action was needed immediately. Noah was certain their pursuer had gone crazy. She glanced at her sister, determined to protect her at all costs, and sped up her escape, determined to find a way out of this situation. The morning began peacefully, but the only one to disturb this idyll was Lieutenant General Ritokianus, who arrived with a flourish in a bright red sports car. His confidence and stylish appearance immediately attracted attention, creating an atmosphere of surprise. Noah and the little girl watched the scene unfold, clearly stunned. She couldn't understand how he'd gotten there so quickly. The astonishment on their faces only heightened the intrigue, heightening the tension. Ritokianus emerged from the car, holding a huge bouquet of red roses. His words were a declaration. He had come to collect his bride. It sounded so confident that it left no room for doubt as to his intentions. Noah stood there confused, trying to comprehend what was happening. The reminder of their earlier agreement was compelling. The beauty of the moment was enhanced by the flowers and romantic atmosphere, creating the perfect setting for their confession. It all began an hour earlier, when Noah demanded that Ritokianus remove his rank insignia and engage her in a fair duel. Her determination and pride made this demand entirely justified. The encounter between them was tense. Looking into each other's eyes, they silently measured their strength. Ritokianus's aura radiated calm, yet his gaze spoke of complete confidence in his victory. Meanwhile, their comrades watched from afar. Their doubts and fear of the possible consequences added to the drama. None of them dared intervene, understanding the gravity of the situation. One of the officers, trying to comprehend what was happening, voiced his concerns. The risk of losing Captain Noah's reputation seemed real, and he was tormented by doubts about whether to support her actions. The comrades turned to a more experienced officer who, upon hearing Noah's name, immediately identified her as a person of exceptional bravery. His confidence in her victory calmed those around him somewhat, though the tension in the air remained. Noah was recognized as a worthy opponent, and Ritaki Anus, with sincere respect, confirmed her greatness. This marked the beginning of a new stage for them, one of mutual respect and recognition. Noah, dressed in a strict uniform with gold epaulettes, exudes strength and fortitude. Her blue eyes are full of determination, and her confident posture, sword in hand, commands respect. She is a steadfast captain who tolerates no injustice and is always ready to fight for what is right. One of the officers sarcastically remarks that Noah, in his anger, resembles a rabid dog. His tone is tense, heightening the atmosphere of hidden menace. The young captain's anger and determination are evident to everyone present. The situation escalates further when another officer attempts to explain the current events. His calm contrasts with the tense atmosphere, as if he's trying to avoid the inevitable conflict. Noah, on the other hand, has no intention of giving in. Her focus and determination are clear in her eyes. There's a sense of impending battle in the air, and her rage, like a bonfire, burns ever more fiercely. Noah's internal monologue reveals her readiness to fight to the end. Even if she decides to retreat, the anger within demands action, and only a blow can calm the storm of emotions. Her resolve becomes indomitable. Ritokianus observes her behavior and notes her seriousness. His calm yet insightful retort sounds like a challenge, confirming that he is prepared to accept any outcome of this confrontation. Tensions reach a peak when Ritokianus demands a sword. One of the lieutenants, fearing a possible conflict, offers a wooden sword, trying to defuse the situation. However, his anxiety betrays his fear of the impending event. The lieutenant general dismisses the idea with a smirk. His calm but unwavering expression makes it clear he's expecting real weapons, not child's play. His confidence underscores the inevitability of battle. The lieutenant, losing his composure, tries in confusion to figure out what exactly is required of him. His panic underscores the tension flaring between the parties, and the upcoming choice becomes fateful. The appearance of the Ma's sword evokes awe. Its majestic appearance and radiance symbolize strength and determination. With this legendary weapon, the outcome of the battle is presented as a moment that will forever change the balance of power. Noah turns to Ritokianus with a worried expression, her gaze filled with alarm and confusion. Something of utmost importance has thrown her off balance, and her voice trembles with tension. She hurries to convey her words, awaiting a reaction from the lieutenant general, who remains calm and cool. Noah, flushed with embarrassment, quickly retreats. Her gaze is downcast, clearly distressed by a mistake or awkwardness. Ritokianus, despite her confusion, merely watches, remaining unperturbed. She hurries away, perhaps to rectify the situation. Noah's thoughts are overwhelmed with worry. She wonders how she could have let things come to this. The thought of losing a valuable ally or friend fills her with sadness. Meanwhile, her rapid footsteps echo in the empty training yard. She's lost in her thoughts, realizing how difficult it is to understand Ritokianus's character. He seems unpredictable and dangerous, like a rabid dog. These thoughts add to her anxiety, but Noah is determined to understand his true intentions. Ritokianus finishes preparing his sword. His confident, cold gaze contrasts with Noah's inner doubts. For him, a weapon is just a tool, but his actions seem symbolic, leaving questions in her heart. The lieutenant general approaches Noah and offers to start the conversation anew. His voice is calm, but there's a hint of anticipation in it. Noah, mustering all her willpower, stands opposite him, realizing this moment could be decisive in their relationship. Ritokianus hands her the sword with unexpected kindness. The gesture leaves her bewildered, even confused. Her heart skips a beat. She doesn't understand why he's doing this, but she senses the gravity of the moment. Noah is perplexed by why he chose her for such a symbolic act. Her gaze is filled with questions and emotions, She tries to understand Reitokianus's hidden intentions as he seems to reveal his sincerity through this act. He states that he understands her hatred, but doesn't believe she would go so far as to harm him. His words convey a hidden message. He hopes her hostility will subside, and their alliance will be strengthened through battle. Reitokianus's gaze softens as he admits he's never considered killing an ally willing to fight by his side. His sincerity pierces Noah's heart, causing her to reconsider her attitude and view their relationship in a new light. Noah, looking down at the ground, clenches her fists. A storm of emotions rages within her, indignation and determination. She can no longer bear Reitokianus's smug smirk. The desire to wipe it from his face becomes all-consuming, pushing her to take a bold action. The situation leaves those around her surprised and confused. Their looks express shock and bewilderment. They discuss Noah's sudden change in behavior, whispering whether she's lost control. Reitokianus, with his unwavering cool smile, accepts Noah's challenge. He playfully interprets her words, raising everyone's guard even higher. His calm fuels her resolve, despite her growing doubts. Reitokianus's gaze turns serious. He hands Noah the sword, as if giving her a chance to prove her strength. His eyes sparkle with confidence that he's in complete control of the situation. Noah accepts the offered sword despite her inner tension. She agrees to his condition. The loser must fulfill the winner's wish. Her voice is firm, but her gaze betrays concern. Clutching her sword, Noah recalls her grandmother's words about the addictive nature of gambling. Her mind warns her of the risks, but her heart tells her to see it through. She feels the weight of her choice, but decides to continue. Reitokianus assures her that his wish is reasonable, but his red gaze and calm smile are alarming. Noah realizes he's playing by his own rules, but her resolve remains unwavering. A crowd of spectators gathers around Reitokianus, reminds Noah of the presence of many witnesses spurring her to action. Her hesitation is momentarily silenced by the weight of his words. Noah grips her sword tightly, knowing her chances of victory are slim. A voice inside her screams that she risks losing. However, her pride won't allow her to retreat, forcing her forward. She raises her sword, ready to strike, her gaze blazing with determination. Despite her fear, she's not going to miss this chance. Noah understands that now she can turn the tide of the game, proving her strength and courage to everyone. Noah, full of determination, spots a chance to teach Reitokianus a lesson. Her blue eyes glow with determination as she ponders how to do it effectively. Her inner monologue is animated by the desire to punish him for some past wrong, which awakens within her a mixture of anger and excitement. Entering the conversation, Reitokianus, with a hint of irony, clarifies what she means by corporal punishment. His cold smile only heightens the tension between them. Noah looks a little confused, but she doesn't give up, even though her confidence is beginning to waver. Reitokianus suddenly softens his tone and reminds her that they are engaged, and that he cannot afford to treat her cruelly. His calm and romantic reminder confuse Noah, but she quickly returns to her fighting spirit. After a tense duel, whose outcome is a foregone conclusion, Reitokianus declares victory. His wish is loud and clear. He wants Noah to accept his marriage proposal. The sudden romantic twist takes everyone by surprise, including Noah herself. The scene shifts to Noah's sister Clara, reacting. She's stunned by what's happening and anxiously asks how it happened. Noah feels uneasy under her gaze, unable to find the words to explain what's happening. Clara reproachfully asks what advice their grandmother gave them. Before leaving, Noah recalls the important words, trying to justify herself, but looks clearly caught off guard. Clara firmly reminds her of the need to follow instructions, adding a comical contrast to the scene. Clara continues to scold Noah for her frivolous behavior. She reminds her of the ban on intimacy with men, gambling, and alcohol, which puts Noah in an even more awkward situation. However, her expression betrays a hint of regret and shame. Reitokianus, observing the family drama, approaches with roses in hand and an official air. The situation becomes even more complicated when Clara, in a panic, questions Noah's future, her age, and her ability to survive such a union. In the midst of their argument, Clara loses her temper and criticizes Noah for her mistakes. Noah picks up his sister, trying to calm her down, but their interaction feels more like a playful argument than a serious conversation, adding humor to the tense situation. In the end, Clara, still dissatisfied, forces Noah to apologize and admit his mistakes. The scene ends with Noah holding back his emotions to calm his younger sister, demonstrating their close, albeit turbulent, family bond. Ace, meeting Ritoki Anus, anxiously tries to ask a question, sheepishly apologizing. Her nervousness is noticeable, and behind her, Noah and Clara are animatedly indignant, adding their own chaos to the situation, clearly displeased by such a sudden contact. Ace dares to clarify the rumors, asking about Rito Kayanas's impending marriage to the younger mistress. Her eyes are filled with doubt and caution, but curiosity wins out. She feels a tense tension as she awaits an answer. Ritoki Anus calmly but firmly confirms the rumors. His serious tone surprises and perhaps even annoys Ace. She's stunned but tries to maintain her composure, though emotion is evident in her gaze. An indignant Noah, holding Clara in her arms, intervenes. She accuses Ace of being too familiar and demands more respect for her younger mistress. Noah's anger is expressed in her harsh words and protective stance. Ace, in response to the accusations, defends herself with a slight smile. She explains that seeing Clara's simple dress, she mistook her for a common servant. Her words sound joking, which further irritates Noah, who defends Clara's status. Ritoki Anus suggests that Ace call him sister-in-law, causing confusion and protest from Noah. Ace is unexpectedly delighted by the proposal, openly displaying his enthusiasm and admiration. Clara and Noah are completely perplexed. Their reaction is a mixture of shock and categorical rejection. They shout that such familiarity should not occur, and the situation becomes increasingly tense. An irritated Noah demands that no one dare call Ace sister-in-law. The scene transitions to a flashback where Noah expresses her confusion over Ritoki Anus's behavior, wondering why he's acting so unusually. Ritoki Anus recalls Noah's accomplishments with kindness and confidence. He notes her successes, graduating from the academy, her rapid rise to captain, which inspires his pride and respect for her as a soldier. His words conclude with an inspiring confession. He sincerely states that he sees Noah as a reliable and outstanding warrior. The scene is enveloped in warmth, emphasizing the respect and trust Ritoki Anus feels for her. Ritoki Anus appears before a council of elders who assess him, discussing his character. Despite his arrogance and harshness, they acknowledge that he does not tolerate injustice, especially when it is directed at the innocent. His stern gaze and confident demeanor speak of a strong personality. Noah, turning to Ritoki Anus, questions his revelation, unsure how it relates to her. He responds emotionally, explaining that his feelings for her are more than just a passing fancy. Against a backdrop of bright red roses, he confesses that he has fallen in love with her. Ritoki Anus, aware of his own shortcomings, speaks frankly about his nasty character. He admits that he enjoys making sarcastic jokes and provoking others, and that he joined the army with one goal: to laugh at his superiors. Noah listens, stunned by his honesty. Clara, observing the dialogue, asks Ritoki Anus a straightforward question. Why, despite being so unpleasant, does he live alone? Her naive remark evokes mild confusion in the adults, but at the same time adds a touch of humor to the tense situation. Ritoki Anus continues his conversation with Noah, admitting that her presence forced him to rethink himself. He admits that being around such a bright and dazzling person like her made him realize how petty and cruel he sometimes was. Clara comments on Ritoki Anus's words, noting that his confession sounds more like a confession than an expression of love. Her surprise and admiration mingle, adding warmth and sincerity to the overall dialogue. Against the backdrop of a tranquil garden, Ritoki Anus gives Noah a bouquet of roses, attempting to express his feelings. Clara, observing this moment, joyfully invites Noah to speak to him first, encouraging them to sort out their feelings. Ritoki Anus jokes about how Noah's sister Clara has become his sister-in-law, implying that she wants to be closer to Noah. This elicits a slight smile from her, easing the tension between them. Ritoki Anus attempts to be completely honest, asking Noah if she truly believes his words. Their conversation deepens as each of them considers the truth of their feelings. The dialogue concludes with a touch of humor. Ritokianus asks if he seems genuine, and Noah answers affirmatively without hesitation. Their sincerity paves the way for a warmer, closer relationship. Noah, wearing a formal blue uniform with gold shoulder straps, reprimands her interlocutor. Despite her attempts to humor the serious topic, she emphasizes the importance of respect and boundaries. Her gaze is pierced with determination, underscoring her strength of character. Noah's inner reflections on Ritokianus's true motives reveal her doubts. She understands that there is something more behind his outward actions, but she refuses to believe superficial judgments, displaying a sarcastic attitude toward her thoughts. In a moment of contemplation, Noah suddenly remembers the information she'd been told. They say Ritokianus likes her, but she dismisses the thought as absurd, refusing to let her feelings deceive her. Her gaze becomes cold and penetrating. Ritokianus, dressed in an elegant light suit, appears surrounded by flowers. His confident expression and charisma puzzle Noah. She internally resists his magnetism, convincing herself that she won't believe his words, no matter how beautiful they are. Noah admits she rejects Ritokianus's confession. She thanks him for his sincerity, but emphasizes that she never looked at him the way he likely hoped. Her embarrassment betrays her uncertainty, though she tries to hide her emotions. In response, Ritokianus notices her expression. He notices that Noah is lying to herself, betraying it with her subtle gestures. His confidence heightens the tension between them, forcing her to consider his words. Ritokianus looks at Noah tenderly, claiming to know her habits better than anyone else. His admission that he's been observing her for a long time confuses and thrills her, deepening their emotional connection. History shifts to explaining past events. The Magic Tower, a symbol of cultural and technological revolution, changed the course of history. It was a place where magic and science merged, creating an era of progress. It is revealed that the current head of the Magic Tower is the man who made these changes possible. His appearance reflects the wisdom and strength he gained while guiding the world's development in a new direction. The scene emphasizes the significance of the magical tower in their destinies. It not only connected their paths, but also became a symbol of hope and change around which their lives and the mysteries they must unravel revolve. Just when the combination of science and magic nearly led to a catastrophic crop failure, the efforts of scientists and magicians saved the fields. Golden ears of grain once again swayed beneath the sky, and a light of hope shone among the people, proving that harmony between technology and magic is possible. A true revolution began with the invention of the automobile, which used mechanical power instead of horses. This achievement became a symbol of progress, inspiring people to new discoveries. A young couple captivated by speed felt a sense of freedom as they raced forward. New developments in energy and weapons dramatically changed the face of the military engineers, incorporated magical technologies to create powerful and effective weaponry. Military academy training became increasingly popular, strengthening the country's potential. Following significant reforms, the kingdom granted the title of Duke to the Adbello family. This alliance between mages and royalty led to the unification of various families, who through their combined efforts sought to revive the country and strengthen its future. Royal power was significantly strengthened by the alliance with Adbello. Military administration was reorganized, and most of the army came under the direct control of the monarchy. Every step of the reforms emphasized the importance of wise governance. The new military system was officially organized and structured. Its symbol was a coat of arms featuring a majestic eagle, embodying the country's strength, honor, and unity. This marked the beginning of a new era, promising order and prosperity. The army now concentrated on defending the northern borders, while the navy occupied strategic positions in the south. This balance allowed the country to effectively manage its forces and counter external threats while maintaining stability. The sudden success of the reforms and the strengthening of military power provoked the envy and jealousy of neighbors. The royal flag, which had become a symbol of prosperity, was threatened when tensions with outside powers escalated into open confrontation. War broke out, but a surprise invasion by neighbors ended in a triumphant victory for the kingdom's soldiers, celebrated by breaking the imperial flag. demonstrating the invincible strength and unity of their country engendered by the reforms of previous years. Little Noah, enthusiastically recounting the events she'd learned at school, shared them with those around her. Her eyes sparkled with pride for her country and its heroes who had overcome all challenges for a peaceful future. Inspired, Clara tells Ace that she's studied everything for the test and will definitely pass it. Ace, observing her childish determination, wipes away a tear, remembering how recently Clara was still a baby. She's touched by the memories of the past and how quickly the girl is growing. Noah stares thoughtfully ahead, her gaze filled with a slight sadness. She's trying to comprehend something important lost in her thoughts. Her internal monologue hints at some secret or experience that has suddenly arisen in her mind. Lying on the couch, Noah ponders recent events, overhearing the conversations around her. Mixed feelings overwhelm her. A touch of sadness and confusion. She reflects on how injustice can breed sadness, echoing the well-known truth about the grief of others. Clara, Ace, and Noah engage in a casual conversation, where Clara, with childish naivety, sincerely replies that she doesn't feel sorry for Noah. This moment sparks a burst of emotion in Noah, making her reflect on how sincere children can be. Lying on the couch, Noah reflects bitterly on how futile her efforts to raise her younger sister have proven. Her words are filled with despair, and the atmosphere of the room is immersed in a somber mood, symbolizing her inner struggle. Clara suddenly approaches Noah, gently placing her hand on her shoulder. Drawing her attention, Noah is surprised to notice Clara's gesture and asks if she's trying to comfort her, her eyes filling with warmth. Clara explains with innocent seriousness that her grandmother taught that a criminal should shed blood, not tears. These words frighten Noah, who realizes how profound the influence of adults' words can be on children. Ace reminds Noah of her duty to walk her little sister to school, chiding her for being idle. Clara, eager to help, says she's willing to go herself. This moment raises questions about the roles and responsibilities of each family member. Noah is irritated, thinking no one cares about her feelings. She reproaches her sister for her indifference, but her inner conflict develops into an awareness of her own weaknesses, making her words more emotional and sincere. Suddenly, Noah encounters someone holding a bouquet of flowers, which evokes a storm of emotion. Her face reflects a mixture of surprise and joy, as if this unexpected gesture has become a ray of light in her dark thoughts. Clara, seeing a man in military uniform on the street, exclaims with delight and points at him. Ace, standing nearby, covers his mouth with his hand, surprised by her reaction. For Clara, this is a moment of particular joy. She recognizes Ritoki Anus, the legendary lieutenant general, and is overcome with emotion. Ritoki Anus approaches Noah with a smile, inviting her to work with him. However, Noah is perplexed, as she has already announced her intention to leave. This unexpected encounter makes her question Ritoki Anus's strange behavior. Ritoki Anus calmly points out that Noah hasn't yet completed her exit process, as she needs to fill out the appropriate form. His gentle yet confident manner surprises and slightly embarrasses Noah. She realizes it wasn't quite that simple. Returning home, Noah runs into Ace and Clara, who are discussing her delay. Ace is surprised that Noah hasn't resigned and remarks that now Clara won't be able to brag about their family event at school. The situation escalates, and Noah has to keep her cool. Ritoki Anus unperturbed calls for everyone to get ready for work, ignoring Noah's protests. She is outraged by his insistence, but understands that arguing with him is futile. Clara and Ace watch this scene with genuine interest, maintaining the tense atmosphere. A determined Noah declares that if Ritoki Anus hesitates, she will leave first. Her confidence and persistence make her seem like a true leader, and this firmness slightly stuns Ritoki Anus. He quickly agrees to her demands to avoid further arguments. With a burst of determination, Noah runs off to get ready, leaving the others stunned. Ace whispers that her tenacity is reminiscent of a villain, and Clara admiringly remarks that the youngest mistress of the house never ceases to amaze them. Clara's words add a touch of humor to the proceedings. Ritoki Anus looks at this picture with warmth and notes that it's nice to see Noah's excitement in the morning. Ace predicts that this might become annoying over time, but she can't help but smile. Clara, meanwhile, eagerly awaits the continuation of their morning's events. Clara suddenly asks Ritoki to answer a question she's long been wondering about. She looks at him seriously, ready to talk. Ritoki, understanding the importance of her words, bows before her, demonstrating his sincere attention and respect for her opinion. Clara asks why he's bullying her sister, which leaves Ritoki stumped. He admits he's thought about it before, but finds it difficult to give a definitive answer. This moment becomes a revelation for everyone, adding a warm and profound dimension to their relationship. Clara, a young and determined blonde, is admired for her maturity in conversation, but the remark throws her off balance. Her indignation is obvious, and she demands an explanation, trying to understand why Lieutenant General Ritoki would allow himself to make such statements. Ritoki smiles and explains that his words were meant as a compliment, admiring her vocabulary and ability to express herself. His gentleness and sincerity unsettle Clara, but she's not ready to give in and adopts a more assertive tone. Clara chides Ritoki for his familiarity, believing he's become too informal too quickly. Her emotionality contrasts with his calm, but he cautiously acknowledges that such behavior is typical of him as her relative. Gathering her courage, Clara sets a condition. If Ritoki doesn't communicate with her sister, he mustn't call her his niece. She reinforces her statement with a serious look, forcing him to reconsider his actions. Ritoki is surprised, comparing Clara's current determination with her behavior as a child. This question raises her eyebrows, but she immediately demands to know how he will address her from now on. With a smile, Clara decides it's time to introduce herself. Her determination energizes her appearance, and she proudly announces her name, earning Ritoki even greater respect for her character. In response to her introduction, Ritoki shows his respect by greeting her gallantly. He says he has been preparing for this moment for a long time, demonstrating how seriously he takes their meeting. Clara can't resist asking if he really likes her sister. She looks at him with genuine interest, and his confused response only confirms her suspicions. Her intense gaze and continued questioning completely confuse Ritoki. His reaction elicits a slight smile from her, but she remains serious, awaiting a more precise answer. Ritoki finally answers her questions, sincerely bringing a smile and satisfaction to Clara's face. Their exchange demonstrates how the delicate balance of humor and seriousness strengthens their bond, creating a warm and touching moment. Clara recalls her grandmother's words about the importance of noticing men who are unable to express their feelings. She shares this observation with a smile, confident that these words can help Ritoki understand his emotions. Ritoki acknowledges the wisdom of Grandmother Clara's words with a gentle laugh. His soft smile suggests he's impressed by her insight, creating a touching and sincere atmosphere between them. The man sincerely admires the bouquet of flowers and shares how much he loves it. His gaze softens, and the atmosphere fills with a sense of beauty and sincerity. Clara and her friend are delighted by what's happening. They are surprised by Ritoki feelings and begin to cheerfully discuss how much he might like Noah. Their joyful emotions create a contrast with the serious subtext of the plot. The girls begin playfully pushing Ritoki to confess his feelings, saying he needs to show his best side to win Noah's trust. The man remains enigmatic, calling his feelings a secret. Clara abruptly changes her tone, reminding Ritoki that if he truly likes Noah, he must be kind and gentle with her. Her serious gaze adds drama and emphasizes her genuine concern for her sister. Ritoki confused, claims he's never done anything wrong, but Clara reminds him that she noticed Noah always worried about him after work, which makes him question his behavior. In an unexpected twist, Ace finds himself in a difficult situation, entangled in the smell of alcohol and attempting to calm a drunk man. Clara watches the situation with alarm, realizing how complex it is. Clara addresses Ritoki again, emphasizing that it's important for him to be kind to Noah if he truly values her. Her words are filled with childish naivety, but they touch on the profound theme of respect in relationships. Ritoki is deeply troubled by Clara's words. His thoughts become more coherent, and his reaction shows that he's seriously considering his feelings. He silently vows to improve and earn Noah's trust. Noah was preparing to leave, but the unexpected presence of A's and Clara caught her off guard. Her stern gaze emphasized the seriousness of her intentions. She had expected the day to begin calmly, but the encounter with the others disrupted her plans and intrigued her. This feeling left her slightly irritated. As Noah approached, she spotted Retakianus surrounded by Ace and Clara. Their strange gathering and conversation struck her as absurd. Her suspicions deepened when she realized the conversation was clearly about something personal. Her questioning tone heightened the tension in the air. Things escalated when Noah realized that feelings unrelated to her were being discussed in her own home. Her indignation was reflected in her clenched fists. She felt the situation spiraling out of control, and she needed to understand the true intentions of those around her. Noah and Retokianus rode in the car in silence, but the tension between them was palpable. She looked out the window, clearly puzzled by her own thoughts. His serious expression only deepened her doubts. An inexplicable weight of hidden emotions hung between them. Retokianus approached unexpectedly, making Noah feel unsure. His words spoken with obvious sincerity struck her. She felt her cheeks begin to burn. His behavior made her question how well she understood his intentions. His gentle yet intense gaze unsettled Noah. His words were so precise that she felt exposed. He knew her better than she thought, and this closeness filled her with both fear and surprise. She realized how hard it was for him to lie. Retokianus emphasized how long he'd observed Noah, knowing her every habit. She felt an invisible bond form between them, deep and strong. His attention to her details aroused in her not only confusion, but also a timid affection. Noah, trying to remain calm, threw him a sarcastic comment. She couldn't tell if he was laughing at her emotions or deliberately ignoring them. His confident expression made her feel helpless, but her pride wouldn't let her show it. His serious gaze, full of hidden intentions, made Noah ponder his words even more deeply. She felt he understood her too well. This stirred conflicting emotions in her, the desire to open up and simultaneously push him away. Standing on the deck, Noah realized that the whole situation with Retokianus wasn't just a prank, but a serious emotional game. She felt this game drawing her in, forcing her to question her true emotions. Her resolve to deal with it only grew stronger. Noah, holding the seatbelt, looks toward the outstretched hand, expressing slight hesitation and caution. Her gaze is cold, but deep down, uncertainty is visible. The moment emphasizes the distance between her and Retokianus, sitting next to her. Retokianus lightly touches her golden hair, creating an intimate and touching atmosphere. Noah reflects that what torments her most is the misunderstanding of why he so clearly expresses hostility despite his outward friendliness. They're sitting in a bright red car surrounded by autumn leaves. Retokianus is clearly trying to explain himself, his gaze focused. Noah maintains a stern expression, but there's tension in her posture. She silently admits that she's beginning to understand him. Retokianus leans in slightly, his eyes shining with sincerity. He clarifies that the reasons for his actions are hidden in circumstances he cannot change. Noah struggles to maintain her composure, but her emotions betray her. Noah's internal monologue reveals her conflicted emotions. She feels her heart pounding despite her attempts to maintain a cool facade. Her thoughts are confused, and she is surprised by her reaction to Retokianus. Noah barely contains her irritation, realizing that her own feelings are starting to get in the way. She tries to compose herself, but the overwhelming emotions are preventing her from making a balanced decision. Her anger is simply a way to protect herself. Another character in a blue uniform appears in the building. He approaches Noah with a smile, asking a provocative question, but she responds sharply and reservedly, demonstrating independence and pride. The new companion teases Noah, noting her stubbornness. She reacts with irritation, but still tries to maintain her dignity. A hint of friendly teasing can be seen between them. The same character explains that word of her decision never spread, and everything was arranged to prevent the lieutenant general from accepting her application. He assures Noah that everything has returned to normal, but her face betrays her inner doubts. As Noah ends the conversation, she feigns control, but her inner struggle becomes apparent. She clearly realizes that her relationship with Ritaki Anus and the circumstances she's been drawn into are beginning to alter her usual way of thinking. Noah is perplexed, realizing that the current situation seems completely absurd. Her thoughts are filled with irritation and slight anxiety reflected on her face. She tries to understand what happened, pondering her actions and the possible consequences. Noah's friend surprises her with an unexpected remark that leaves the heroine flustered. She reminds Noah that she should thank the lieutenant general for his help in this tense atmosphere. Noah senses that the situation is unfolding against her. Memories of her recent confrontation with the lieutenant general return. Noah recalls with fury how rudely she spoke to him. Her face expresses a mixture of shame and anger as she considers that she may have crossed a line. Painful memories surface of how Noah was once forced to flee for her life while holding her child. Guilt and doubts brew within her as she is accused of desertion. These accusations weigh heavily on her despite her heroic actions. One of her comrades notes that the entire conflict initially erupted because of the lieutenant general himself. Despite this, he acknowledges that the situation was extremely dangerous. Noah feels mixed emotions, justification for her actions, and recognition of the gravity of the situation. Her friend continues to point out her strange behavior in recent days. He notices that she's become more withdrawn and cautious. Noah, putting away her things, tries not to react to his words, but inside she feels a tension. He adds that she usually tries to be careful, but sometimes her emotions get the better of her. These words make Noah consider how her actions appear to others. Her hand freezes as she holds the part of the uniform symbolizing her duties. A friend reminds Noah that she doesn't tolerate hysterics when it comes to serious matters. This phrase sounds like an acknowledgement of her strength of character, but it also highlights how difficult it is for her to cope with emotions. Even in moments of humor, her nerves remain tense. Noah admits to herself that everything said about her is true. Her posture and facial expression betray deep reflection. Her thoughts are focused on the importance of maintaining composure and control over her actions. Despite her outward calm, Noah explodes internally at the thought of having made a mistake in front of the team. Her emotions reach a fever pitch, but she knows she must find a way to rectify the situation to maintain the respect of those around her. A young officer in a blue uniform with gold epaulets expresses his thoughts to Noah, pointing out that her actions are too impulsive. His gaze is serious, but there's a subtle hint of confusion, as if he's trying to support his friend, but afraid of offending her with his frankness. Noah, alarmed and angry, doesn't hold back her emotions. Her voice rises and her blue eyes flash. The anger that flares betrays her displeasure. She perceives the words as a reproach, raising an important question about the seriousness of the relationship and implying that feelings are not a toy. The tense conversation flares up again. Noah is reminded that her relationship with the lieutenant general has only lasted a month, and her impulsiveness seems excessive. Her partner, clearly concerned for her, gently but firmly emphasizes the need to take a realistic view of the situation. The conversation is interrupted by a mention of a previous incident in which Noah was seen with a general. Her interlocutor, with a touch of irony, pushes her to confess, as if trying to ease the tension. This makes Noah feel uneasy, but she maintains her seriousness. Tensions reach a fever pitch when Noah denies the accusations, insisting nothing of the sort ever happened. Her interlocutor, however, persists, making it clear his certainty of what happened is unshakable. The situation escalates, hinting at hidden elements of the past. The sudden appearance of a third officer with books breaks the awkward silence. He apologizes for interrupting, but his words bring the conversation back to the past. He unwittingly reveals a point that becomes a key argument against Noah. The scene flashes back to Noah as she finds herself in a compromising situation. The memory of this incident evokes confusion and mild panic. The unexpected closeness and tension between the characters heightens the drama, highlighting their unresolved feelings. Noah's interlocutor comments on the situation with restraint, trying to smooth things over. His tone becomes more serious, and his gaze warms. Noah, though embarrassed, finds the strength to withstand the emotional pressure. She blames everything that has happened in the last few days on some chaos created by another person. Her hands clench into fists, and her voice is firm. This moment reveals her inner struggle. Anger and despair war with a sense of duty and justice. The interviewer notes that despite her irritation, Noah continues to cling to the feelings that hurt her. She realizes the truth by acknowledging her emotions. Noah understands that she is genuinely angry, but this only confirms how deep her feelings run. Noah, filled with rage and a sense of injustice, tries to understand why everything happened the way it did. Her voice trembles, and her eyes burn with determination. Her shiny uniform decorated with medals emphasizes her status. But at this moment, she looks more vulnerable than usual. Burning with her own thoughts, she hides in the shadows, contemplating her defeat. A passing colleague stops concerned about her condition. Noah, covering her face with her hand, looks confused. A conflict rages within her, and she can't hide the pain. Ritoki stares at Noah, wondering what has caused this reaction. His gaze is filled with a mixture of curiosity and tension. Questions swirl in his head, and he begins to wonder about his own involvement in this. He picks up the document, recalling the details, and considers whether it has become an obstacle in Noah's path. His expression remains stern, but a shadow of doubt flickers in his eyes. The light falls on his figure, adding drama to the scene. The commanders gathered around the table, discussing the experimental use of a new weapon. Ritoki discreetly guided the conversation. Noah, seated to the side, listened intently, trying to absorb every detail to prepare for future action. The discussion continues, and one of the officers announces the addition of a new unit in the final minutes. Resources are limited, and the need for optimization becomes clear. Noah remains wary, her figure visible in the background. Reflecting on the current state of affairs, Noah notes that the meeting is proceeding as usual. Her attention is distracted, and she wonders if she's exaggerating her importance in the current situation. Her gaze remains focused, but the internal conflict persists. Her internal reproaches mount. She realizes she's been overly sensitive and ran away instead of dealing with her emotions. Noah tries to remain calm, but she fidgets nervously with her pen, attracting the attention of the young officer, who is startled by her movements. Ritoki concludes the discussion, declaring the meeting at an end. His voice is stern and confident. Summing it up, Noah is still struggling to overcome her inner doubts, though her apparent restraint conceals her true feelings. The telegram received this morning sets everyone on edge. The document's contents remain the focus of attention. Noah and the other officers stare intently at the map, discussing strategy. The atmosphere grows serious, hinting at upcoming trials and important decisions. Lieutenant General Ritoki, surrounded by officers, displays confidence as he delivers important news. His relaxed posture and cheeky smile convey a sense of power, while the officers reveal a tense air, sensing significant changes ahead. Ritoki shares rumors of the approaching royal knights, emphasizing their fame and controversial reputation. His sarcastic tone adds intrigue, leading the officers to question the nature of these guests. One of the officers, trying to understand the general's intentions, asks a clarifying question. His seriousness reflects the general tension, heightening the atmosphere of the upcoming strategy discussion. The kingdom's three main forces, the army, the royal knights, and the navy, maintain order within the state. Each plays a key role, reflecting strength and dedication to their cause. The leaders of these forces, despite their differences, grow closer during joint missions. Sharing experiences builds trust, and their interactions become the foundation for a new, stronger friendship. Noah, perceptive and sarcastic, unexpectedly questions the sincerity of their relationship. Her remark sparks an underlying tension, forcing each of them to question their roles and true motives. Rivalry between leaders intensifies, turning friendship into competition. Each side strives to prove its superiority, leading to arguments and internal struggles for leadership. The competition ends in victory for the fleet. Despite this, the outcome is tinged with envy and banter, and the competitive atmosphere persists, adding a touch of humor to the proceedings. The leaders discuss the difficulties in their relationship with the royal knights. Their inaccessibility and arrogance create new challenges for the alliance, making cooperation even more strained. The arrival of Sir Delight and his family and subordinates sparks excitement. Urtakianis prepares to welcome the guests, recognizing that this event will be an important step in resolving current problems and strengthening its position. Ritokianis, seated at a massive table bathed in the morning light, reflected on the unexpected turn of events. His confident smile emphasized his awareness of his power. This moment seemed to symbolize the beginning of something momentous, hidden behind his penetrating gaze. The atmosphere in the room was tense. The young officers, exchanging glances, realized that the upcoming mission could be more difficult than they expected. Their anxious comments reflected their fear of the future. They felt the situation was spiraling out of control. Noah and her team sat at a long table, anxiously studying the map and strategy. Her expression reflected a mixture of disappointment and bewilderment as she realized their planning had run into unexpected difficulties. The other participants silently awaited her decisions, sensing the weight of the moment. She clutched the pen in her hand, feeling like she was being used as a pawn in a game. The intensity in her eyes expressed her rage and determination not to succumb to the circumstances. This moment revealed how deeply she was struggling with her own doubts, trying to maintain control. Ritokianis watched Noah and her comrades from afar. His calm posture and intent gaze suggested he understood what was happening better than anyone else. He decided the time had come for a private conversation that could change the outcome. Meeting Ritokianis's gaze, Noah felt an inner challenge. His confidence and strength momentarily shook her, but she quickly composed herself, realizing this conversation would be decisive for her. Her blue eyes reflected a firm determination to stand her ground. Ritokianis, sitting in the center of the room, put the current discussion aside, announcing that a more important matter would be considered later. His words raised eyebrows, but no one dared argue. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense, as if everyone realized something important was afoot. A certain confusion permeated the room. One of the officers observing the proceedings expressed doubts about the success of the undertaking. Amid these doubts, Noah, barely concealing her irritation, continued to work, demonstrating her willpower and unwillingness to give up. Coming closer, Ritokianis lightly placed his hand on Noah's shoulder, implying an invisible connection between them. His confidence seemed to be trying to infect her. Noah contained her irritation, demonstrating that she would not lose her independence despite his influence. Finally, Ritokianis looked into her eyes, uttering her name with a slight smile. Noah responded with restraint, calling him by his title, and their gazes met in silence. This moment symbolized the beginning of their complex relationship, full of hidden intrigues and trials to come. Ritokianis jokes about how much he admires Noah's displeased look. Noah, irritated by his words, feels an unpleasant chill run down her spine. The contrast between their emotions heightens the tension of the scene. Noah, determined, and putting aside her emotions, declares her intention to get to the point. Her confident gaze underscores the importance of the upcoming conversation. Noah asks Ritokianis directly why he impeded her advancement. Her tone is challenging, and the office setting adds a formal air to the conversation. Ritokianis answers evasively, citing circumstances. His relaxed demeanor contrasts with Noah's determined expression, creating an air of mystery. Noah doesn't hide his indignation, angrily, asking since when such decisions became his personal choice. The scene underscores her determination to stand up for her interests. Ritokianis, looking down at her, asks why Noah was willing to risk her life for a promotion. His gaze is penetrating, as if trying to understand her motives. Noah tries to avoid the topic, focusing on the current conversation. She clearly avoids revealing her true motives, keeping her vulnerability to herself. Ritokianis mentions the sword, hinting at the true reason for her zeal. Noah's gaze turns thoughtful, and her tense posture betrays her inner doubts. He reminds Noah of how yesterday she couldn't take her eyes off the sword, as if under its influence. His calm confidence underscores the hidden layers of their dialogue. The atmosphere thickens with tension, as Ritokianis and Noah continue to stand facing each other. Their gazes and words seem to engage in a silent battle, leaving questions unanswered. Noah, clenching her fists, is outraged by Ritokianis's suspicions. Her gaze is filled with bitterness. She cannot believe that her achievements are being attributed to anything other than her own work. The feeling of resentment drives her to argue, trying to defend her own merits. She emotionally recalls how her previous promotion was earned solely through her work. Her voice trembles with emotion. Noah recounts instances where personal relationships hindered her career, deepening the bitterness that makes her cast her eyes down. Noah dejected struggles to hide her tears as she ponders how Reitaukianis could think so poorly of her. She feels a sense of injustice. Remembering her efforts, she firmly believes that this time the promotion was rightfully hers. Reitaukianis interrupts her angry train of thought, gently raising his hand. His gaze softens as if trying to reassure Noah. His actions baffle her, but inside she continues to struggle with doubts. Lost in thought, Noah asks what he plans to do next. Her voice is cold, but her eyes are filled with fear. She knows the importance of the sword she's received is immense, and she's afraid she'll have to part with it. Reitaukianis looks at her with a slight smile. His smug expression infuriates Noah. She realizes his actions may be an act, but she still can't fully comprehend his intentions. Noah rages, imagining how he could hide the sword so she would never find it again. Her imagination conjures up scenes of the sword becoming the object of his experiments. She clenches her fists in indignation. Suddenly, her anger gives way to confusion. Reitaukianis utters words she didn't expect to hear. All her tension instantly gives way to incomprehension and mild surprise. He decides to hand the sword over to Noah. She stares at him in shock, unable to comprehend the reason for his decision. Her thoughts race trying to find an answer to this unexpected turn of events. Looking at him, Noah remains confused. Her face expresses surprise as she tries to comprehend what's happening. Reitaukianis's decision remains a mystery to her, but a spark of hope appears in her eyes. Noah and Reitaukianis stand facing each other. She asks for the sword lying on the table. He, with a slight smile, hints that he's willing to give it up, as if posing some kind of riddle. Noah, confused, recalls that he had already offered her the sword yesterday. This fact surprises her, and the certainty in his words leaves her slightly uneasy. Reitaukianis is certain she needs the sword. His calm smile and firm statement underscore his seriousness, which only deepens her confusion. In that moment of realization, Noah realizes she has indeed lost her sword. This triggers a storm of emotions, shock and a hint of despair evident in her voice. Her distress deepens, and she exclaims her foolishness. Reitaukianis tries to console her, telling her it's not that bad. He seems willing to help her. Reitaukianis suddenly lifts Noah into his arms, declaring that there's always a way out. She's confused and clearly didn't expect such a reaction, but he's genuinely amused. Descending the stairs, Reitaukianis notices with interest how fascinated she is with swords. He ponders this slightly mockingly, but without malice. In a cozy setting, he makes her an unexpected proposal. If she marries him, he will give her his sword. This unexpected announcement shocks Noah. She tries to keep her cool and asks if he's overheated in the sun, as this is the second day he's proposed to her. Her sarcasm underscores her confusion. Smiling, Reitaukianis declares that he sincerely wants this, emphasizing his determination. His gaze softens, and a hint of intrigue and intimacy fills the air. Noah recalls the wedding assignment, and she's overcome with indignation. Her face expresses a mixture of surprise and rage, conveying her inner resistance. She mentally dismisses what's happening as a nightmare, wondering how she was dragged into this situation. Reitaukianis approaches Noah, smiling slightly. Trying to ease the tension, he engages in casual banter, irritating her. She pulls away, demanding he keep his distance, but he remains calm, hinting that it's all for her own good. Reitaukianis gently takes Noah's hand, saying he's been thinking long and hard about their future. This gesture is disconcerting, as such moments are extremely unusual for Noah. She tries to understand the meaning behind his words and actions. Reitaukianis explains that no one but her can handle him, emphasizing her unique qualities. He looks at her tenderly, understanding how important this moment is. Noah hesitates internally, trying to contain her emotions. Noah remembers how she suffered repeatedly because of him. She feels anger and resentment as his reckless actions constantly upset her. Her resolve to stand up to him only grows stronger. She reflects that everything is connected not only to work, but also to feelings. Her thoughts turn to the fact that Ritakianus always manages to touch her personal boundaries. She tries to figure out what she really feels. Noah accuses him of having spoken of his own indifference to marriage, reminding him of his earlier words. Ritokianus looks somewhat confused, but quickly composes himself, observing her reaction with a slight smile. Despite her reproaches, a sincere moment emerges between them that she finds unexpected. She senses something deeper behind their conflicts, and this makes her question his true intentions. Noah meets Ritakianus's determined gaze, which suddenly reveals its softness. He runs his hand over her cheek confidently, declaring that he will never compromise on this matter, even for her. Ritokianus assures her that he will never marry his face, reflecting the firmness of his convictions. Noah looks at him with the realization that her struggle with him is not only a professional challenge, but also a personal drama full of hidden feelings. Noah firmly declares that she has no intention of dating anyone demonstrating firmness and steadfastness. Her gaze is full of pride and stubbornness, and the gold aiguillette on her uniform only emphasizes the severity of her words. However, the inner tension is evident in every movement. There's always been a wall between Noah and Ritokianus, as if something insurmountable separates them. She feels it with all her soul, yet she maintains a cold distance. Even the bright light of the room, reflected on his golden hair, can't melt the ice in her heart. Ritokianus looks at Noah with a slight smile, his words calm as if he's already found a solution. His confidence and serene gaze ease the tension, though Noah remains on edge. She knows their conversation is only the beginning of something bigger. Despite her outward detachment, Noah is worried about her feelings. She realizes they've never discussed important things, and it hurts her. A deep inner conflict is reflected in her eyes, full of sadness and doubt. It's as if she's trying to understand herself. Bowing her head, Noah admits that Ritakianus still irritates her. She avoids his gaze, unable to control her overwhelming emotions. However, Ritokianus remains calm and patient, his steadfastness irritating and admiring her at the same time. A step forward, a slight movement, and Noah changes the conversation's focus. Her feet clad in elegant patterned boots confidently tread the floor, emphasizing her determination. She faces an important decision that will determine the future of their relationship. The focus is on the sword shimmering against a backdrop of magical patterns. Noah is certain that this sword is vital to her. Her desire for the sword becomes a metaphor for the internal struggle in which she must find her strength. Ritokianus understands that Noah is ready for the challenge, and his gaze expresses respect. He asks if she is ready to go all the way. His calm tone and gentle smile contrast with her inner tension, making Noah feel more confident. Noah extends her hand, holding a gold piece symbolizing determination. She briefly confirms her intention, choosing her sword over her principles. Her expression is serious, and her stern voice emphasizes how important this decision is to her. Their argument escalates into a playful proposal to trade swords instead of rings. Noah sarcastically agrees, adding that with that sword she could kill him. Ritokianus responds playfully. Admiring her sharp nature, Noah finally breaks the barrier between them and accepts the challenge. The scarlet-eyed Ritokianus sarcastically tells Noah that her red dress will perfectly match his gaze, but Noah snaps back that she'll stain it with blood. Her words ring out decisively amid the tense atmosphere of their first encounter. Noah and her companion stand by the car, illuminated by the sun's rays. She glances around as if pondering what just happened. The man next to her looks puzzled, as if he senses what's to come. Noah ponders her decisions, unable to understand why her fate has crossed paths with such an unusual man as her companion. The man next to her tries to encourage her, though he himself is unsure of his words. An emotional scene ensues with Noah exclaiming in surprise at her companion's words. He accuses her of being strange, which infuriates her, but also adds a comical edge to their conversation. Noah's companion claims they're both crazy, but the only difference is that she has a modicum of common sense, something Ritokianus lacks. Noah reacts to these words with surprise, clearly disagreeing with this opinion. Noah is outraged that her companion is abusing his rank to make fun of her. In response to his words, she displays her strength of character, causing him to fall over in confusion, but maintains her inner confidence. The man continues to philosophize, claiming that any sensible girl would reject a proposal from a man like Ritokianis. Noah begins to analyze his words, but remains firm in her decision. Noah briefly replies that she did what she thought was right, brushing off any unnecessary drama. Her companion indignantly tries to dissuade her, but she remains calm, proving her case. The man smiles and claims that Noah and Ritakianis were simply having a good time joking around. His words are laced with sarcasm, adding a touch of irony to the scene and adding a dynamic to their interaction. Noah firmly declares that she has put Ritokianis in his place, refusing to listen to any objections. Her interlocutor tries to understand her actions, adding a touch of humor to the proceedings, bringing this tense yet emotional episode to a close. Noah, sighing wearily, says she doesn't care what happens because she'll be dead. During the conversation, she speaks of her interlocutors with a sarcastic tone, calling them fools. This reveals her inner conflict and weariness with what's happening. In the next scene, one of the characters excitedly greets his car, calling it a sweet little thing. He compares it to another object he finds less attractive, which irritates Noah, who reminds him to be careful with his language. The character continues to admire the car, calling it a beauty, even claiming that its voice is superior to Noah's. This moment highlights the comical and bizarre nature of the character's attachment to the car, contrasting with Noah's seriousness. In the car, Noah and her companion strike up a conversation. She notes that the car is a four-seater, but he explains that the back seat is cramped, so he only uses the front seats. This detail adds to the informal atmosphere. Noah shares that she's recently been thinking about buying a car. Her companion assures her that she'll soon be able to get a lieutenant general's car, adding a note of confidence and support to the conversation. A tense dialogue unfolds in the rearview mirror. Noah suggests that her companion will likely get married. He reacts emotionally, denying her assertion, which evokes a sense of bewilderment and laughter in the reader. Noah's companion points out that those who so confidently deny the possibility of marriage are usually the ones who get married first. He jokingly asks her not to forget to throw him a bouquet, which adds a lighter touch to the atmosphere. The conversation takes a more serious turn. Her companion asks why a certain person has hindered her career advancement. This touches on Noah's personal and professional problems, deepening the plot. Noah, still pondering what happened, admits she has no answer to this question. Her tired gaze and thoughtfulness underscore her inner turmoil. In conclusion, Noah reflects on her urgent need for a certain sword to achieve her goal. However, the very idea of marrying for this purpose seems humiliating to her, leading to the moral dilemma facing the heroine. Noah gazes thoughtfully out the car window. She holds her head in her hand, her gaze weary, and her thoughts seem filled with worry and reflection on something important. Clara writes a letter in which she recounts events at home. Her sister is about to marry an old flame, and Clara herself has taken over the management of the household. However, she sincerely tries to cope despite the difficulties. She expresses joy at her efforts, smiling with a hint of pride. She wants to show that she's capable of being independent, even though life seems difficult. But optimism helps her maintain her spirits. Concluding the letter, the girl adds warm words of encouragement to the recipient. She hopes her message will bring joy and inspiration. A smile appears on her face as she thinks about how the letter will be received. The letter also mentions a brother who hasn't yet returned home. The medicine sent to find him remains unused. This emphasizes how important caring for her family is to the heroine, despite the playful casualness of her description of the situation. With sincere hope, Clara ponders how her letter might influence her grandmother and spur her on to new achievements. She wants her grandmother to feel supported and know that her work is noticed and appreciated. Wrapping the letter in a neat envelope, the heroine selects stickers to decorate it. This small gesture becomes a way for her to express her love and care through the details that are so important to her. Clara spends a long time choosing between stickers. Her playful seriousness in choosing emphasizes how much she wants to make the letter special. She's having a hard time deciding, but she pours all her heart into her choice. Ultimately, she chooses a sticker depicting a rabbit with a knife. This choice is a bit comical, but it demonstrates that she finds joy in even the smallest things, infusing playfulness into her actions. The letter is sealed, and Clara looks at it with pride. She's sure her grandmother will be pleased with her gift. Genuine happiness fills her face as she completes this small but meaningful gesture. Ace stood on the stairs in the spacious bright room, urgently calling Clara's name, reminding her that it was time for school. Her voice was loud, but her eyes were full of concern. Ace looked stern, but at the same time, she smiled reservedly, awaiting a reaction from her charge. Clara, a petite blonde with sparkling blue eyes, ran out of the room and down the stairs, with incredible speed, holding something in her hands. She looked inspired and full of energy, clearly, with something important and urgent on her mind. Clara, at full speed, joyfully waved the envelope in the air, not hiding her delight. She showed Ace the letter she was holding and asked her to take it to the mailbox. Her beaming face and confident movements filled the scene with warmth and sincerity. Ace, with a gentle smile, hugged Clara and accepted the letter. She looked at the girl with approval, checking that the letter was composed correctly. Their interaction was filled with trust and tender care, like that of an older sister and a younger one. When Clara inquired about her sister's whereabouts, Ace calmly explained that she had already left. The girl frowned slightly, but despite her slight disappointment, she continued to stay close, displaying affection and warmth for her companion. Ace gently patted Clara on the head, reminding her that time was running out. The girl, slightly surprised, looked up at her with touching childish sincerity, as if unable to believe how quickly everything was happening. On their way, Clara expressed mild displeasure that her sister hadn't waited for her. Ace, smiling, tried to diffuse the tension by teasing the little girl a little. Their exchange was touching and humorous, highlighting their warm relationship. During the conversation, Ace explained that her sister had an important meeting that would require time. Clara frowned with slight disbelief, her curiosity heightened. She was clearly concerned about what was happening, and her emotions were conveyed throughout the scene. Clara suggested the meeting might be related to the Lieutenant General, which elicited a slight chuckle from Ace. She assured him it wasn't, but their conversation still left a hint of intrigue, adding depth to their dialogue. Ace explained there was nothing to worry about, as the Lieutenant General was clearly sincere in his feelings, even proposing to his sister. Their conversation ended at the gate where Clara, somewhat reassured, gazed thoughtfully into the distance, while Ace continued to radiate calm and confidence. Noah and Clara are enjoying a bike ride. Noah leads them along a green path, and Clara, inspired by something she heard on the radio, talks about the importance of being careful when accepting offers. Her serious tone and innocent smile add a humorous contrast to the situation. Clara firmly reminds everyone of the importance of being wary of bad people, insisting that they shouldn't give in immediately. Her confidence astounds Noah, who smiles softly, admiring the girl's determination. This moment strengthens their bond. Ace discusses the arrival of the Royal Knights with a colleague. She tries to remain calm despite the unexpected visit disrupting her schedule. Her companion chuckles, but understands her tension, giving her a brief, supportive glance. Memories of the upcoming meeting with the Knights cause one of Ace's colleagues to flare up. He thinks everything is happening too quickly and not according to plan. Ace maintains his cool and advises him not to get angry, calming the situation. Tensions mount when one of the officers expresses dissatisfaction with the disrupted schedule. Ace looks away, trying to remain calm, but the dissatisfaction is too loud to ignore. She steels herself not to lose her temper. A group of knights arrived, and their behavior immediately attracted attention. Their arrogance irritates Ace and her colleagues. They realize the knights are deliberately displaying their superiority, angering the local officers. One of the officers sarcastically wonders if all aristocrats are really so arrogant. Ace notices this, but remains neutral, trying not to show his true emotions. The overall atmosphere grows increasingly tense. In a conversation with Rito Kayanis, his origins are mentioned. Someone reminds him that he himself is a member of the aristocracy, but he easily retorts, assuring that even the most powerful man cannot compare to him. His confidence evokes a smile. Ritoki Ienis shares his assessment of the arriving knights, calling them overconfident. He laughs at the situation, suggesting not to take their arrogance too seriously. His easygoing manner contrasts with the tension around him. Ritoki Ienis inquires about the guests' activities, noting with a hint of irony that they don't seem overly concerned with their appearance. His gaze conveys a hint of mockery, but also a hidden readiness to act if the situation gets out of hand. Lieutenant General Ritoki Ienis stern and focused orders the young officer to report what's causing the tension around him. His determined gaze and clear words make it clear he expects his orders to be strictly followed. Noah, the cold-faced captain, struggles to contain her emotions as she watches the proceedings. She barely conceals her irritation at interacting with the new arrivals, whom she considers arrogant aristocrats. After a tense moment, attention shifts to another officer. A humorous remark plays in the background, helping to ease the tension. Those around them begin to focus on the task at hand, forgetting about personal grievances. Lieutenant General Ritoki Ienis, having gathered all his subordinates, carefully inspects them. His confident and commanding demeanor inspires respect and a touch of fear, compelling everyone to strive for impeccable performance. He announces that new equipment has been delivered and warns that only a select few will have access to it. His voice, calm but firm, emphasizes the rigor of the selection process and the importance of responsibility in their mission. There's a stir among the participants. Ritoki Ienis announces the names of those who will be responsible for distributing the items, while the rest head to the frigate. Some are visibly tense, but Captain Noah maintains complete composure. Suddenly, another officer, Amai Chitia, breaks down and desperately begs to be sent to the frigate. Her emotional outburst provokes mixed reactions. Some sympathize, while others consider her behavior inappropriate. After the rejection, Ami looks completely devastated. She playfully complains about her fate, but her voice is tinged with bitter disappointment. Her colleagues struggle to hide their smiles, trying to maintain a serious atmosphere. Captain Noah reminds Ami of the importance of their mission, instilling confidence in her abilities. She emphasizes that such assignments are only given to those who have demonstrated high professionalism. Finally, everyone returns to work. Ami continues to grumble, but with less seriousness, and Noah, smiling, continues to explain the strategic value of their mission. The atmosphere gradually lightens, and the team begins to work together more smoothly. Noah, walking past the base, felt an unusual lightness in her movements, wondering how much of it was due to the new type of equipment. The feeling of the familiar heaviness vanishing gave her a confidence and a sense of freedom she hadn't felt in a long time amid the tense military routine. Her thoughts are interrupted by a message from her colleagues at the Magic Tower. Noah's gaze is focused as she realizes she must sort out yet another important mission-related issue. Her eyes reveal a look of concentration tinged with a hint of worry. The officers discuss the new submarine, pointing out the difficulties with its balance due to its reduced weight. Noah listens attentively, analyzing the situation. This technology promises to be useful, but its peculiarities require caution and adaptation from the crew. Hearing about the difficulties of diving and staying underwater for extended periods, the two junior officers look confused. Their doubts reflect the team's overall attitude. Noah understands that he must instill confidence in them and show them how to handle the new equipment. Lieutenant General Ritoki Ienis explains that the submarine will follow a specific protocol for diving and movement. His clear instructions provide direction for the crew. But Noah notes that the situation remains tense, requiring further clarification. Ritoki Ienis addresses Noah, clarifying her connection to General Flancy. This surprises the girl, but she calmly confirms that she only briefly crossed paths with him. A slight confusion flickers in her eyes at the unexpected question. The general mentions that Flancy previously held a prominent position in the military, clearly testing Noah's reaction. She calmly explains that their interactions were minimal and tries to understand where this question is heading. Ritoki Ienis, noticing her reaction, only briefly ends the conversation, leaving Noah thoughtful. She realizes there's something he's not telling her, but decides not to press the issue further, for now giving herself time to put everything in its place. The girl's thoughts begin to revolve around strange hints and omissions. She worries that the mysteries continue to multiply while the answers remain beyond her reach. Noah feels the need to get to the bottom of this. Gathering her thoughts, she decides to put doubts aside and focus on the task at hand. Her gaze wanders to the horizon, where a new mission awaits, and the opportunity to prove herself in a situation that demands utmost concentration. Noah stares into the distance, pondering the incomprehensible actions of one of her comrades. Her expression clearly conveys her inner tension and her attempt to understand what exactly he's planning. A colleague approaches her from behind, teasing Noah about a possible declaration of love. The joke is unexpected, and she reacts with a mixture of embarrassment and irritation, clearly not thrilled by the innuendo. In response to this inappropriate conversation, Noah sternly orders his colleague to perform an absurd action as a lesson clearly demonstrating that there's no room for personal matters at work. The colleague obediently complies, further fueling discontent. Noah presses her earpiece, accepting an important call. Her determined movement suggests she's returning to more serious matters, ignoring the entire previous incident. The captain calls Noah, informing him that he needs to confirm communications. The situation becomes serious, and attention shifts to the important military tasks. Tension rises, foreshadowing further developments. The system confirms a successful connection with the captain. The background shows the ship preparing for its next mission. The sea surface emphasizes the importance of the upcoming operation and the responsibility of those involved. The captain reports the ship's location and issues instructions for their squad to join it. His stern demeanor emphasizes the importance of the mission and the need to strictly follow orders. Noah's group gathers on the pier, demonstrating their readiness for the task. Everyone stands straight, focused, understanding the gravity of the moment. Noah takes a decisive step forward, diving into the water. Her confident movement symbolizes her determination to overcome all difficulties to fulfill her mission. Against a backdrop of majestic ornamentation, Noah's talent as an outstanding leader is highlighted. Her image is filled with light and symbolism, demonstrating her role as an exceptional team member, capable of great deeds. Ritoki, a remarkable military genius with white hair and red eyes, stood out for his sharp mind and cold determination. His talent was undeniable, and this inspired confidence in those around him. Weapon in hand, he was ready for new exploits for the sake of his empire. After graduating from the Naval Academy, Reth immediately took part in the counterattack on Adlabor. Displaying strategic genius, he carried out a daring raid in just a week, resulting in a victory that strengthened his country's position. His triumph culminated in a symbolic moment when Reth planted a flag on the tower of the captured palace. This act was a testament to his courage and unwavering dedication to his cause, and also a symbol of a new stage in the empire's history. For his achievements, Reth was awarded the highest military decoration and promoted to captain first rank. Never before, in the history of the Royal Navy, had such a rapid career advancement been achieved, confirming the exceptional nature of his achievements. Despite his young age, many of his colleagues doubted his abilities. However, Reth dispelled all doubts when he took command of the Navy, securing unprecedented victories and strengthening the Empire's military might. Under his leadership, the Navy experienced a golden era, with victories following one another. His strategic decisions ensured success and the respect of both allies and enemies. Over time, Reth was promoted to lieutenant general. This title underscored his influence and status in the military hierarchy. He continued to inspire those around him by his example. Together with General Adbello Reth, founded an elite unit, the Special Ship Squad. This group became a symbol of power and elitism, raising the kingdom's combat forces to a new level. This unit, dubbed Special, consisted of just 13 select soldiers who had undergone a rigorous selection process. Each was an elite warrior, ready to carry out any order from their commander. Surrounded by his team, Reth continued to inspire them with his strength and leadership. Their exploits became legendary, strengthening not only their military might, but also the spirit of the Empire, which remained unshakable thanks to his efforts. The team, clad in cutting-edge technology, discusses the astonishing effectiveness of their gear. Noah, with a slight smile, wonders how people ever managed without such conveniences in the past, reminding his colleagues of the breakthroughs that changed their world. One of the team members begins to speculate about the magic built into their gear. He suggests that its functions may include healing spells, levitation, and other complex elements that provide protection during their work. Noah explains in detail the design of their magical suits. She mentions protective spells that maintain body temperature and a balance that allows them to withstand the pressure of the waves. Thanks to these technologies, they can survive for long periods in the deep sea. The team admires Noah's knowledge, considering her a true expert. The atmosphere becomes more relaxed. The younger team member humorously expresses his surprise at her competence, eliciting good-natured smiles from those around him. The newcomer to the team admits that this is his first assignment and shares his concerns. His embarrassment is evident in the unsteady movements of his legs in the water. His colleagues try to encourage him, promising to help correct any mistakes. Noah reassures the newcomer that even if he makes a mistake, the team will support him. Her calm and confident demeanor instills a sense of security in the young employee. The other team members smile sincerely, trying to create a positive atmosphere. Her teammates encourage trust in them and their experience. Noah and her colleague demonstrate confidence in their abilities through humor, inspiring everyone. Even on a challenging mission, their lightheartedness and humor help maintain a fighting spirit. One of the team members hints that Noah and Lieutenant General Ritokianis were discussing something personal. However, the moment is cut short, as Noah abruptly calls his colleague to order to avoid unnecessary conversations. A mild argument ensues between Noah and her colleague, accompanied by mixed emotions. The newcomer anxiously asks them to calm things down. Despite the tension dissipates as their conflict becomes more friendly. Ritokianis intervenes, reminding the team of the importance of the task. His confident voice brings everyone back to their senses, preparing them for the signal. His calm and authority underscore the decisiveness of the mission ahead. Noah, dressed in military fatigues, reports the start of the mission. Her confident gaze reflects the gravity of the moment, while the seascape in the background heightens the tension. A voice in the earpiece confirms her message, and the team springs into action. A white-haired man, Lieutenant General Ritokianis, gives the order to retreat to a safe distance. His stern tone and decisive gestures spur the crew to action. The sea surface beneath their feet sparkles with light, creating a dramatic effect. Noah focuses, realizing that the mission's pivotal moment has arrived. Her gaze is determined, her inner monologue, reminding her of the importance of concentration. The shadows of tension on her face heighten the sense of drama. She manages to create a protective barrier that materializes as a glowing dome around her. Waves of energy ripple, amplifying the effect of her determination and strength. This achievement demonstrates her professionalism and level of training. The team begins moving forward, each with their own task. Noah gives the signal to split up, and the team members head off in different directions. The water around them seems to emphasize the importance of what's happening. One of the team members takes on the task of exploring the lower layers of the water. Her calm smile and determined gaze suggest she's ready for the challenge. She dives into the sea's depths, accompanied by the faint glow of her protective dome. Noah adjusting her headset bids. The team farewell, giving them a pep talk before the operation begins. Her long hair flutters, and the voice in the earpiece records the team member's entry into the water. Her confidence inspires the others. The last team member standing at the edge glances into the water, checking his readiness. His feet are already immersed in the glowing waves. The lieutenant general gives the order to complete the entry and join the mission. Ritokianis reminds the team to record their actions and observations. His voice, strong and confident, cuts through the roar of the waves, guiding the team in the right direction. The surrounding landscape frames the mission with an atmosphere of epic importance. After the mission's completion, the team gathers to discuss its challenges and successes. One member complains about the difficulty of maintaining balance, noting that Adelo's inventions are questionable. The atmosphere lightens, laughter breaks out, but the tension of the mission is still palpable. A young man angrily discusses a problem with a membrane that's leaking water. His anger is directed at the magical tower, accusing its inhabitants of irresponsibility, making his frustration obvious and highlighting the unfairness of the situation. A soldier reports a call to Captain Bello. She's puzzled by the possibility of someone searching for her through her phone. This scene conveys both the professional ambience and the personal tension associated with the unexpected call. Noah answers the phone. She's told that Miss Clara is likely involved in a fight. The question of victory is sarcastic, but the real problem is much deeper and more troubling. The source of the conflict is revealed. Clara got into a fight with the son of the influential Lord Delete. This isn't just a schoolyard squabble, but a potential scandal with serious consequences, which adds to the tension. Lord Delete's son appears before the audience, expressing contempt for Clara. His gaze and words convey a mixture of resentment and arrogance, emphasizing the conflict of class and status between the characters. Clara, in response to the humiliation, doesn't hide her emotions. Her determination and anger demonstrate a strong character ready to stand up for herself despite her opponent's status. Noah is shocked to learn that Lord Delight has unexpectedly appeared in the capital. The mention of a bride adds to the intrigue, raising suspicions of hidden motives and secret plans. Lieutenant General Ritoki Anus intervenes, asking pointed questions and provoking Noah. His demeanor projects strength and authority, emphasizing his role as protector and mentor. He offers his help to Noah, assuring her that he is ready to fulfill her every wish. His confidence and slight irony reveal a deeper connection between the characters, hinting at trust and support. Noah and Ritoki Anus walk together, displaying unity and determination. Their joint appearance in this form demonstrates a union capable of overcoming any obstacle. Ritoki Anus, smiling confidently, asks a question with a hint of sarcasm, as if testing his interlocutor's true intentions. His red eyes sparkle brightly, reflecting a stern yet polite demeanor. This moment underscores his status and authority in the events unfolding. A boy with golden hair frowning mentions his origins with a hurt expression. His posture and facial expression suggest a wounded dignity. He reminds himself, and those around him, of his family, which holds special significance for him. Clara, a little girl with golden hair, looks dreamy. She's longed to meet the one she's often heard about, and this opportunity seems like a true gift from fate. Her sparkling blue eyes speak of excited anticipation and joy. The family gathers in the hall. The atmosphere is warm and welcoming. Clara is the center of attention, surrounded by caring adults. But the nervousness on her face slightly betrays her character. It's a moment of family reunion and joyful sharing. Clara, seeing her sister, cries out joyfully, expressing her feelings. Her sincere laughter and the sparkle in her eyes fill the space with light. She seems like an angel in this warm moment, filled with love and delight. The girl throws herself into her older sister's arms, showing how much she's missed her. The emotional moment underscores the bond between them. Ritoki Anus watches them with a gentle smile, adding a touch of approval and peace to the scene. Clara, her face beaming, addresses Ritoki Anus, calling him uncle, and asks a question. The adult responds kindly, his stern demeanor softening as he interacts with the child. This exchange adds warmth to the family scene. The older sister worriedly inquires about Clara's well-being. The girl confidently declares that everything is fine and boasts that she used the skills her grandmother taught her. This scene highlights her courage and resourcefulness. The adults marvel at how unharmed Clara is, despite her activity. Her hair is slightly disheveled, but her gaze is full of pride and confidence. Her innocence and charisma captivate everyone around her. Unlike Clara, the boy had clearly been through a difficult time. His disheveled hair, bloody nose, and scratches on his arms indicate his struggle to cope. His stubborn gaze expresses his inner struggle and perseverance. Clara, laughing joyfully, looked at her sister Noah, who gently stroked her head. The girl felt safe with her sister. Noah, with a touch of irony, emphasized her sternness, reminding her that it was best not to joke around with hers. A serious scene was unfolding in the house. An adult man addressed Noah, calling her Lady Bello. His words expressed deep gratitude for her efforts in defending the country. The moment filled the atmosphere with respect and a slight tension. The servant explained the situation in a measured tone. There had been a quarrel on the playground. Clara appeared unperturbed, but the boy across from her, disheveled and with a bandaged cheek, was clearly indignant. The maid hastened to clarify that the girl was barely injured. The boy, consumed by rage, clenched his fists and shouted threats, vowing revenge. His face was flushed with rage, and his green eyes blazed with determination. Meanwhile, Clara, on the contrary, maintained a cool calm, as if mocking his words. Clara, shaking her head slightly, showed her disdain for the boy's manners. Her calm, mocking tone emphasized the difference between them, making the situation seem even more tense. Her words fueled his anger even more. The conversation grew increasingly heated. Clara looked with a triumphant grin at the enraged boy, who was barely able to contain himself. In the background, a maid nervously watched their argument, desperately, trying to calm the children, but to no avail. The boy, seething with rage, demanded confirmation from the grown man. Did he have the right to punish Clara? His determined gaze expressed absolute certainty of his rightness. His entire body was tense, ready for action. The man, adjusting his glasses and maintaining a cool composure, dismissed the possibility of extreme measures, but added that he could exact the harshest punishment. His calm confidence was disarming, and the subtle notes of sarcasm only heightened the tension. Off to the side, as observed the situation, whispering discreetly to Noah. Her voice was full of surprise when she asked about the stranger. Noah calmly explained that he was a lawyer summoned by the boy, as couldn't hide her curiosity. Ace expressed her opinion with restraint. She didn't think Clara had started the argument. Her words expressed support for the young lady, giving the situation additional context. Her voice conveyed both caution and confidence. A little girl named Clara ignores a boy who angrily pulls her hair. This causes Clara to cry and scream, and the tension between the children escalates, revealing his dominance and rebellious nature. A young boy standing in the room protests. His threats and behavior seem less like simple pranks and more like an attempt at control. The tone and atmosphere in the room become unsettling. Noah, Clara's guardian, looks sternly at the boy. Her calm yet piercing gaze shows that she is ready to defend her charge's rights. The girl demonstrates her determination in a difficult situation. A man identifying himself as the Delight family's lawyer enters the conversation, introduces himself, and attempts to resolve the conflict. However, his serious tone only adds to the tension, emphasizing the importance of family responsibilities and legacy. The lawyer apologizes for the incident, claiming that Clara was unharmed, but the boy was seriously injured. However, this doesn't absolve him of blame, as he maintains that the boy is responsible for the conflict. The conversation deepens, and Noah claims the boy started the fight, and Clara was only defending herself. The boy's insults toward Clara are met with condemnation, heightening the drama. Noah firmly asserts that Clara's actions were self-defense. Clara, in turn, makes a funny face, as if teasing the boy, showing that she is under her guardian's protection. The lawyer decides to simplify the situation by removing his glasses. He reminds the boy that he is the sole legitimate heir of the Delight family, emphasizing his status and the importance of maintaining order. The viewer is shown the Delight family flag, symbolizing their influence and history. The family has protected the royal family for many years, and their line is renowned for its nobility and strength. The boy, a third-generation Delight member, smiles, showing his pride. But behind his smile lies a desire to prove his strength and importance to others. Ritoki Anus, dressed in an elegant suit, reflects on his responsibility to his family, where children occupy a central place. His serious gaze and hand gesture convey the importance of his role as a trusted person, charged with responsibility for their future. He agrees that adults shouldn't interfere in children's conflicts. In the hall, his interlocutor suggests discussing the details privately. Rita Kyanus immediately supports this idea, demonstrating his openness to dialogue and willingness to resolve issues diplomatically. In a surprising turn of events, Ritoki Anus suddenly reveals his identity to those present. His charismatic smile and calm confidence evoke a mixture of surprise and admiration in everyone nearby. Ritoki Anus introduces himself, formally claiming that his name evokes importance and authority. His refined appearance and calm tone create an atmosphere of gentle tension and deep respect. Ace carefully puts Clara to bed, supporting her after a busy day. The girl laughs and yawns, acknowledging her tiredness. A sincere affection flows between them, creating a warm, family-like atmosphere. Ace asks a question about Retokianus. Her gentle curiosity and calm voice hint that the Oceanus family's history conceals many secrets she wishes to unravel. Retokianus explains the importance of the Oceanus family in society. The change of scenery and the appearance of a complex mechanical clock emphasize his name's association with serious power and the secret mechanisms of political games. The luxurious palace, examining its architecture and garden, brings mixed feelings: admiration for its beauty and curiosity about life within. This moment heightens the mystery and intrigue surrounding the Oceanus family. Retokianus reveals that the Oceanus are one of the most influential families after the Adbelos. His tone emphasizes his confidence in his power, and his gaze pierces those around him, as if reminding them of his line's greatness. Ace is surprised to learn that the Oceanus family is renowned for its military might. She contemplates the significance of their influence with admiration and caution, recognizing that a new, more complex world is opening up before her. Clara listened raptly to the story of the Oceanus family, renowned for their military achievements. She was impressed by the images of her ancestors, brave knights who stood up to defend their homeland. The girl was struck by how deep their warrior heritage ran. Then they explained to her that the Oceanus aren't just warriors, but also masters of military industry. They develop weapons, providing their country with the best technology. At that moment, Clara, smiling broadly, realized they were talking about weapons production. She was told that the Adbello family was responsible for manufacturing, but all their work was coordinated with the Oceanus. This rule underscored the family's status as the ultimate arbiter of the country's military affairs. Clara listened attentively, clearly impressed by the significance of their role. Products developed under the supervision of the Oceanus are subsequently used by the elite Special Ship Squad. This underscores the strategic importance of their work and their contribution to national security. Clara was amazed, imagining the scale of their influence. The girl enthusiastically compared Retokianus to another famous man, hinting that she found him more remarkable. Her comment brought a smile to Ace's face, who laughingly confirmed that he was indeed far superior. Clara, captivated by the story, suddenly decided she would call Retokianus her son-in-law. This statement, filled with childish innocence, made everyone in the room laugh, but it reflected her sincere admiration for the general. Retokianus, arriving at the Delight Mansion, was greeted with respect. The family had made a positive impression on him, confirming their reputation as one of the most distinguished. A sense of the moment hung in the air. The man noted that Oceanuses are unlike everyone else. Their role goes beyond the ordinary, making them unique. His voice rang with genuine pride in his heritage, and it didn't go unnoticed. In conversation, he emphasized the courage of Ace's actions in contacting headquarters before their arrival in the South. Her decisiveness and organization seemed to surprise and impress him, deepening his respect for her. Suddenly, a tall man entered the room, his appearance bringing unexpected joy. His visit was a pleasant surprise, ending this series of events on a warm and positive note. Noah and Retokianus enter the room, encountering a tense atmosphere. Noah's gaze is serious, while the lieutenant general holds himself confidently, directing his red gaze at the man whose voice betrays hidden displeasure. During the conversation, it becomes clear that the general knows the details of the situation. He calmly mentions Lord Delite's location, which immediately unsettles his interlocutor, who clearly wasn't expecting such knowledge. Retokianus continues forcing his interlocutor to justify the delay. He asks questions gently, but with obvious sarcasm, casting the situation in an unfavorable light for his opponent. His gaze and smile emphasize confidence and control. The general, as if consoling, assures him that he understands what's happening. His calm and even tone contrast with the tense posture of the other participant in the conversation, whose very step back suggests his confusion. Retokianus takes a step closer, coming dangerously close. Words about parental intervention in children's squabbles fly from his lips, heightening the drama. The scene emphasizes his dominance and calculation. Noah observes the situation, agreeing with the general's conclusions. However, she doesn't want to leave the problem unresolved, feeling the need to act and defend her principles. A young man bursts in, angrily complaining about Lord Delite's son, who threatened his sister. His emotions are running high, and his voice is filled with righteous indignation, demanding justice. Lord Delite, who stood before them, maintained a cold expression. He listened without showing a trace of emotion, which only heightened the tension in the room. The Lord finally breaks the silence with a brief apology. However, his icy tone and lack of sincerity make everyone feel it's more of a formality than a sign of regret. Delite's apology was not sincere. Noah was inwardly indignant, sensing that the Lord hadn't even flinched, despite the seriousness of the accusations. Noah, holding back her anger, reproachfully, tells the man in uniform that he clearly doesn't regret what he did. She demonstrates her resolve by declaring that she will not make excuses for Clara's actions. The confrontation escalates, but Clara maintains her cool demeanor. Having voiced his grievances, Noah sternly demands that the lieutenant general keep his son away from Clara. She points out his responsibility to raise the child so he doesn't bully other children, otherwise she'll contact the school principal. The man reluctantly admits she's right. A tense silence hangs in the air between them. They stare into each other's eyes, unwilling to give in. Noah's internal monologue betrays her desire to continue the argument, but common sense prevails. Suddenly, attention shifts to a boy standing to the side. He's clearly frightened and unsure of himself. His gaze is troubled, and Noah wonders how severe the punishment might be for his misbehavior. Later, Noah and the white-haired man walk under the blossoming trees, discussing the situation. She expresses hope that the boy will be okay. The man agrees that his father's punishment could be harsh, which alarms the girl. The man notices that the boy knows offensive language, which is unusual for his age. He raises the question of who could have exerted such influence on the child. This prompts Noah to consider the reasons for the boy's behavior. Reflecting on what happened, Noah admits that's why she decided not to get into the argument. She understands that it's best to keep her distance from people like the lieutenant general, preserving her dignity. The man agrees with her conclusion, surprising Noah. She notes the ironic thought that perhaps they've found common ground for the first time in this situation. Reflecting on Ritokianus, Noah notices his contradictory nature. Despite his indifference to the problems of others, he sometimes displays an unexpected interest in caring for others, which leaves her with mixed feelings. Noah's final thought concluded her observations. She realized the man's concern was unusual and peculiar, causing a slight smile to appear on her face. Her gaze reflected a mixture of irony and acceptance. Noah decisively discussed important issues, assuring her interlocutor that endless discussions only distracted them from the essence. Her serious expression and fierce energy demonstrated that she was ready for action, not words. She acknowledged that several key points needed to be clarified before the important conversation. Her confident posture and piercing gaze confirmed her determination to leave no stone unturned. Approaching a building surrounded by flowering trees, Noah asked to see the lieutenant general, insisting on the importance of their conversation. Her voice was firm, and the atmosphere around her was filled with tension. Appearing before Ritokianus, she was surprised to notice that he was absent from his workstation. Her thoughts about the strangeness of the situation began to coalesce into a chain of guesses. She wondered how the lawyer had managed to get there first, despite the obvious transportation difficulties. It seemed too suspicious, and Noah began to form a hypothesis about his intentions. The lieutenant general listened to her, noting that her suspicions about the lawyer's lengthy trip were not unfounded. His calm yet ironic demeanor added intrigue to the discussion. Ritokianus smiled, expressing genuine interest in the mystery, but sarcastically hinted that collaboration with an unpredictable partner required caution. His enigmatic tone aroused tension and questions. The lieutenant general noted Noah's busy schedule while simultaneously reminding him of an upcoming important event. His tone emphasized the hidden subtext of their conversation, hinting at deeper plans. Ritokianus's mention of the wedding and its preparations left Noah confused. Her eyes gleamed with doubt and slight annoyance, while he maintained a mysterious half-smile. The appearance of Noah's younger sister, who tearfully declared hunger, filled the situation with an unexpected warmth, contrasting with the seriousness of what had been discussed earlier. Noah thanks Ritakianus for coming and introduces him to a little girl, Clara. The girl happily reaches out to him, showing her affection. The scene is filled with warmth, but Ritokianus looks slightly confused, as if unsure how to respond. Noah declares that she's already been accepted into the family. Ritokianus's confusion deepens, and Clara watches the conversation with rapt attention. Noah's confusion at being called son-in-law adds to the humor. Noah sits down next to Clara and asks worriedly if she's okay. The girl answers seriously, expressing confidence that she can protect herself. Noah seems surprised, but suppresses a smile. Clara holds up her clenched fist proudly, declaring that she can persuade anyone with it. She recalls her grandmother's words, calling it her persuasion fist, causing a mild shock to Noah. The girl playfully asks if they know what a persuasion fist is and continues her demonstration. Her determination and the sparkle in her eyes underscore her confidence, causing Noah to express reserved admiration. Clara explains that her brother taught her how to use the persuasion fist, adding that it means to act before you're hit. Noah looks slightly puzzled, and the girl confidently pumps her fist as if preparing for practice. Hearing about Clara's brother, Ritokianus pauses cautiously, asking who is being spoken of. His gaze becomes more focused, adding tension to the scene. Noah decides to calm the situation by gently admonishing Clara not to do it again. She clearly wants to protect the girl from the consequences of her over-reliance on the fist of persuasion. Slightly embarrassed, Clara accepts Noah's advice. A gentle pat on the head shows Noah's concern, and Clara smiles happily, promising to do better next time. Noah, leaning toward the girl, offers helpful advice. Only hit the unnoticeable spots. Ritokianus, standing nearby, watches their interaction with a smile, and Clara enthusiastically agrees, beaming with joy. Noah watches in bewilderment as Clara grabs another girl by the hair. She expected to be told to avoid confrontation, but instead the situation took an unexpected turn. Noah's serious expression underscores her determination to understand what happened and how to cope. Ritokianus is surprised to learn that Noah has a brother. This news takes him by surprise, as he's never heard of it before. The lieutenant general appears lost in thought, trying to figure out how this information might affect their future relationship. Clara stands next to Noah, and Ace reports that she's discussed the incident with the teachers. The atmosphere around them is filled with the colors of spring, but the tension between the heroes remains. Ritokianus watches the conversation silently, his gaze revealing hidden anxiety. Ace, with a slight smile, explains that since the boy provoked the conflict first, their side needn't worry about the consequences. But her words end with the unexpected remark that the boy has been suspended from school for a month, leaving both sides to ponder. While Noah ponders her next move, her friend asks if she'll be returning home. Noah replies that she needs to go to headquarters, as the unexpected arrival of the royals has disrupted her plans. Her determination is underscored by her confident posture and serious tone. Looking around, Noah feels exhausted by the accumulated work. She recalls the sudden visit from high-ranking officials, which added to her burden. Her internal monologue is intertwined with a sense of obligation to overcome difficulties despite the pressure. Ritokianus confirms the need to complete the work. His gentle smile and calm tone contrast with the tense atmosphere. He realizes he hasn't yet introduced himself, which adds charm and mystery to his appearance. The lieutenant general formally introduces himself, Reth Oceanus, and expresses a desire to get to know him better. His manner emphasizes elegance and confidence, making Noah see him in a new light. The background is illuminated by bright reflections, intensifying the moment. Ace, suddenly remembering something important, exclaims that she'd completely forgotten one detail. Her emotional reaction enhances the comedy and enlivens the scene. A mixture of surprise and embarrassment crosses her face, eliciting warm smiles from the others. Ace sincerely thanks Ritokianus for his assistance, noting how important his support has been in recent days. Rhett politely replies that Noah's family is like his own. He offers to contact him with any problems, but Ace's modesty is evident in her refusal to make unnecessary commitments. Ace, a dark-haired woman, stands before Ritokianus with a sinister smile. She clearly dominates the conversation, projecting her confidence. An uneasy aura surrounds her. Heightening the tension, Ritokianus looks up at her, expressing doubt and hidden irritation. Clara happily runs to Ritokianus, calling him uncle. She takes his hand, and beaming with happiness, tells him she likes him. The girl laughs innocently, her happiness contrasting with Ritokianus's reserved expression, which he tries to maintain. As they parted, Clara promised Ritokianus she'd call him the man. Though looking slightly stunned, responded with a humorous remark. Ace, standing nearby, watched their interaction with a thoughtful expression, not revealing her true emotions. A red car speeds across the bridge with Ritokianus and Ace. She sarcastically remarks on his attempts to charm those around him. In response, he remains calm, driving with a slight smile. The tension between them is palpable, but they both hide it behind masks. Ace says she will reject Ritokianus to remain by Clara's side. Her sly smile betrays her enjoyment of the situation. Ritokianus, on the other hand, remains calm, acknowledging the complexity of her plan, but refusing to give in to his inner conflict. Ace suddenly asks Ritokianus about his brother. Her tone is full of curiosity and a hint of reproach. For not telling her about it sooner, Ritokianus responds indifferently that she never asked such questions. Their conversation is tinged with undertones of hidden mistrust. Ace asks if Ritokianus will talk about his brother now. His answers become more candid. He mentions his brother's recent escape from home due to an incident. Ace listens thoughtfully, trying to understand the depth of their relationship. Ritokianus, mentioning his brother, calls him a man capable of giving him a run for his money when it comes to eccentricity. His words are laced with a hint of irony, but also a note of respect. Ace, on the other hand, maintains a serious demeanor. Assessing what he's just heard from the perspective of his own strategy, Ace suddenly wonders how old Clara is. She recalls that Ritokianus used to be completely uninterested in such things, and her tone becomes thoughtful. She looks into the distance, analyzing the changes in her companion's behavior. The conversation concludes with a tense undercurrent, Ace lost in thoughts of the past, and present ponders how best to approach the situation. Ritokianus, meanwhile, remains calm, as if he knows the answers to all her unspoken questions. Ritokianus quietly struck up a conversation with Noah. He noted that she never discussed important topics with him. She replied that she would have done so if he had taken the initiative, showing his vulnerability. Ritokianus wondered why he'd avoided talking to Noah for so long. He thought he already understood her feelings, but he still hesitated, afraid to take a step that could change everything. He realized he'd been foolish to hide his true feelings. Instead of being honest, he'd only complicated matters further by avoiding uncomfortable topics and questions. Despite this realization, he took no action. Ritokianus tried to convince himself that winning the duel for the sword was meaningful, but he knew it was merely a pretext to delay the inevitable conversation with Noah. Noah watched him closely as he reached his conclusion. She decided to ask him directly why he had been blocking her advancement, demanding an explanation. Ritokianus tried to keep the answers light, suggesting Noah wait a bit. His gaze and tone betrayed his embarrassment, but he wanted to maintain control of the situation without appearing vulnerable. Noah grabbed his face and demanded honesty. She acknowledged that there were still feelings between them and invited him to open up if he truly wanted to take the next step in their relationship. Her words threw him off balance. Noah asked him to tell her he loved her. This request was unexpected and seemed terrifying to Ritokianus, who was struggling with internal doubts. After a tense pause, Noah expressed confusion. Her disappointment was obvious, and she added that he also needed to explain his other actions, including the sword. Their conversation was interrupted by a man who announced that Lord Delight wished to see Noah. This sudden intervention eased the tension, but left unresolved issues between them. Lieutenant General Ritokianus listened with restraint to the officer's report, which stated that the incident had occurred 2 hours earlier. Ritokianus responded coldly, reminding them that such matters needed to be reported immediately. The situation escalated when it became clear that the delay had been critical. The officer defended himself, claiming he'd tried to convey the message several times, but Ritokianus was absent each time. The lieutenant general mockingly claimed his absence was due to his attempts to avoid boring routine, which irritated his subordinate. Having received the important documents, Rito began to study them. He noticed that Captain Bello had asked him to deliver something personally. Mildly intrigued, he allowed the officer to hand over the message, not attaching any importance to its contents. The officer, with an expression of hidden indignation, handed over the letter marked "Delivery in Person." Ritok Ioannis, surprised by the unexpected format, quickly took the envelope, feeling a faint premonition of something unusual, but not yet understanding its meaning. Inside the letter was a note from a girl named Clara Bello. She thanked him for his help and invited him to dinner, promising to treat him to something delicious. Her friendliness and sincerity touched Rita Ioannis, leaving him with a slight smile on his face. Reading the letter, Ritoki Ioannis thought with affection that his fiancée's younger sister was a true angel. He didn't hide his joy, which puzzled the officer, who was trying to understand what could have evoked such a warm reaction from his stern superior. The officer was stunned by the phrase, "the bride's younger sister." He tried to make sure he hadn't misheard, and his confusion elicited a barely suppressed smile from Ritoki Ioannis, who was once again lost in his thoughts. Ritoki Ioannis decided he absolutely had to buy a gift for Clara. His decisiveness and ease of decision-making amazed the officer, who was already accustomed to the general's more formal approach to such matters. Leaving the office, Ritoki Ioannis declared with firm conviction that such matters could not be postponed. His aura of confidence and readiness for action created an atmosphere of respect and admiration around him, even if the officers didn't always understand him. Meanwhile, Noah, enraged by Ritoki Ioannis's behavior, recalled how he had avoided communication. She vowed that next time she would definitely not leave him alone, prepared to act decisively to prevent him from avoiding conversation again. Noah gazed thoughtfully into the distance weapon. In hand, Ace asked her opinion of the Royal Knights. The topic seemed important to both of them, as their presence always signaled change, and every detail could carry hidden meaning. Noah looked composed, but her gaze betrayed anxiety. Ace, sitting on the crate, calmly continued her thoughts about the knights, noting their obvious closeness to the king. Noah wasn't surprised, as if she had already become accustomed to the surprises that followed the knights' appearance. Their role in politics seemed too ambiguous to be a coincidence. Ace assumed the knight's rude intervention was clearly motivated by ulterior motives. She wiped her weapon as if it helped her focus her thoughts. The atmosphere between them grew increasingly tense, as if they were on the verge of an important discovery. Ace's thoughts turned emotional. She wondered why their region in particular irritated the royal power so much. She recalled past incidents and indignantly mentioned the time when a drunken delight nearly set a ship on fire 7 years ago. This aroused Noah's doubts. Hearing the mention of Delete, Noah considered the connection with Flancy. She voiced her suspicions that he might be involved in these events. Her confident tone caused a surge of emotion in Ace. Noah tried to assess the full complexity of the situation, realizing that trusting anyone had become even more difficult, as fervently defended Flancy, declaring him a saint. She added that, thanks to him, the quality of life, including food, had improved significantly. Her words were accompanied by genuine surprise and faith in his good intentions. Noah merely listened silently, not sharing Az's optimisms. Ace suddenly shifted the topic to Noah's promotion, noting that she herself might be appointed an intelligence officer. Her voice was reserved, but her eyes showed how important these changes were to her. It was as if she were seeking Noah's support, hoping for her approval. The news of Ace's possible promotion surprised Noah. She replied that it was still unofficial, but major changes had begun at headquarters, including plans to introduce a course for mid-level naval officers. Noah listened attentively, trying to connect this to the larger picture. Ace paused, adding that no one on their staff had been promoted yet. Her words were filled with bewilderment as the situation seemed unfair. This made her even more doubtful of the leadership's motives and wonder about hidden decisions at the top. The girls' conversation left a feeling of uncertainty. Their worries about the future, suspicions about the Royal Knights, and politics woven into the chain of events. Noah and Ace understood that their lives were about to change, and every detail could become a clue. Noah discusses her recent promotion with Lieutenant General Ritoki Ioannis. She's annoyed to discover that not only she, but all the other candidates on their staff were excluded during the review process. Her indignation is evident in her body language, and Ritoki maintains a stern composure as she explains her arguments. Lieutenant General Retoka Janus explains the situation to Noah. He explains that the decision was made based on other criteria, and these circumstances had nothing to do with the personal qualities of the rejected candidates. Noah listens thoughtfully, but remains inwardly dissatisfied with this turn of events. Noah approaches Amy, asking for more information about the reasons behind such a controversial decision. Noah is clearly struggling to contain her irritation, but her confidence in her actions is genuine. Amy, confused, looks at her in surprise, but is willing to help. At this point, Rita Kayanis receives another officer giving him a stern order. His tone and facial expression emphasize his determination and firmness, while the officer standing opposite him tensely absorbs his superior's words, preparing to carry out the order. Ritoki ponders the importance of friendly relations between the Navy and the kingdom's knightly order. Despite his outward calm, his gaze betrays the wariness and apprehension associated with this diplomatic process. In the evening, Ritoki arrives at the country house. In the cozy atmosphere surrounded by the night's silence and stars, he is greeted as a long-awaited guest. The warmth of this place contrasts sharply with his usual military life. Noah angrily asks Clara not to call Ritoki uncle, implying that it's inappropriate for a man of his position. Clara, in her childish stubbornness, ignores the comments, lending a touch of humor to the situation. Clara happily invites the lieutenant general to dinner. Her radiant smile and childlike sincerity fill the atmosphere with warmth. She looks as if she wants to make this evening special for her guest, despite his stern demeanor. Ritoki, unable to suppress a slight smile, sincerely thanks Clara for the invitation. Her charm touches even his stern heart. He emphasizes how intelligent and charming she is for her age, which makes her both embarrassed and proud. Ritoki hands Clara a gift, which clearly delights her. She immediately tries to open it, anticipating something incredibly exciting. This gesture symbolizes the sincere gratitude and respect he feels for his little mistress. Ace greets Clara and hands her a gift expressing his goodwill. Clara, embarrassed by the attention, beams with joy, but holds the box awkwardly as if worried about its contents. Ace smiles warmly, creating an atmosphere of warmth and sincerity. Ace hands the gift to Ritoki, saying it's just a small token of affection. The lieutenant general, surprised by the thoughtfulness, replies that it wasn't worth the trouble. Their exchange of glances conveys respect and ease, mingled with gratitude. The gift turns out to be a bottle of expensive wine, which shocks Asa. She thinks the purchase must have cost her a great deal of effort and money, causing her to laugh inwardly at the absurdity of the situation. Meanwhile, the wine remains a symbol of respect. Clara, inspired by the atmosphere, announces that she'll start cooking dinner. Her energy and enthusiasm fill the space with positivity. She then thanks Uncle Ritoki for his help, demonstrating her sincere appreciation. Ritoki solicitously asks Clara if one of the boys is bothering her. She replies that he's been quiet today, but adds the detail about the bruises on his arms and legs, which raises the adult's suspicions about what happened. Ace and Ritoki discuss the possible causes of the bruises. Ace suggests the boy may have fallen, but the details remain unclear. Clara expresses her concern with naive sincerity, revealing her affection for the other character. The evening continues with a cozy family scene. Clara calls everyone to the table, joyfully inviting them to spend time together. The house is lit with soft lighting, emphasizing the warmth of the family atmosphere and the unity of all present. Ace prepares dinner with all her might. She apologizes for her meager culinary skills, but Ritoki assures her that everything is delicious. The soft candlelight accentuates the warmth and harmony at the table. During dinner, Ritoki particularly praises the seafood stew, adding that it exceeds all expectations. His satisfied expression conveys genuine gratitude, and the overall atmosphere at the table enhances the feeling of comfort and joy. The dinner takes place in an atmosphere of warmth and joy, emphasizing family values and strengthening the bonds between the characters creating a sense of completion and satisfaction. Clara joyfully enjoyed her meal enthusiastically, discussing the dishes. Noah, watching her, tried to contain her irritation and reminded the girl of decorum, which betrayed her sternness. Despite this, the warm atmosphere of the dinner brought them closer, allowing them to feel a sense of family care. Ritoki was present at the table, smiling as he watched Clara's appetite. His approval brought genuine joy to the girl who always had a desire to please others. She sincerely thanked him for his attention, feeling like the center of attention. Noah couldn't shake the strange feeling. Her thoughts were full of contradictions. She felt the unusual warmth of the family environment touching her soul. The realization that she had become part of such a warm relationship filled her with both anxiety and quiet joy. Clara, her eyes shining, thanked her for the gift. Ritoki looked at her with mild surprise, but it was clear he was pleased with her happiness. Noah, slightly reproaching her sister for her persistence, reflected on her spontaneity and sincerity, which she sometimes lacked herself. Clara, hugging the doll, assured Noah that she had changed. Her words were full of sincerity, as if she genuinely wanted to show that she had grown and become more serious. Noah, surprised by such revelations, looked at her with a slight smile, but a warm glimmer in her eyes. Clara recalled how adults used to spoil her with treats and money. Now she realized that love and attention were truly earned, not just for the sake of it. This thought made her slightly sad, but she still found joy in small acts of care. Ritoki could barely contain his laughter as he watched Clara's vivid emotions. The girl asked Noah why her uncle looked so pensive. Noah, shrugging slightly, suggested he simply wanted privacy, but the smile on her face betrayed her mood. Ace finished serving dessert, and having cleared the dishes, prepared to leave. Clara, beaming with joy, sincerely thanked her for the delicious pudding, which had left a warm impression. Ace, with a slight smile, savored this sincerity, understanding how important these moments were for the girl. Ritoki offered to help Ace with the dishes, but she declined, smiling gently. She suggested he spend more time with Clara, and she easily took on the cleaning. Noah watched them, feeling the atmosphere of the house fill with care and warmth. Clara asked Ritoki to spend time with her to honor her request. He agreed with a slight smile, understanding how much these moments meant to the girl. The warm sunlight shining through the windows added even more comfort to these moments. Clara shows off a mysterious toy rabbit with a knife, introducing it as her protector. Noah remembers that this rabbit is pictured on the invitation and is surprised by its strange appearance. However, the toy seems ominous to her, and she can't figure out why it's holding a weapon. Ritoki confirms that the rabbit with the knife is the toy associated with their mission. His calm yet slightly mocking smile raises even more questions in Noah about the unusual talisman, which unexpectedly becomes the center of discussion. Clara insists that the rabbit is on her side and serves as punishment for those who violate sanitary laws, especially in animal husbandry. Her inspired speech sounds so serious that Ritoki can't help but laugh, struck by her unusual approach to justice. Clara's sudden smile arouses Ritoki suspicions. He looks at her with a hint of fear and bewilderment, sensing that her words conceal something more than mere childish play. He begins to doubt her innocence. Clara announces that a new assistant will be joining their team today. Her enthusiasm underscores the importance of the event, while Noah, seemingly unaware of his new role, watches with quiet surprise. Ritoki realizes the situation is taking an unexpected turn. Clara unexpectedly approaches Ritoki with a question about his plans to marry her sister. Her directness and innocent curiosity stun him. He tries not to show his confusion, but he can't hide a slight blush. Ritoki admits he'd like to marry Noah, but his words sound hesitant. Clara watches his reaction with interest, while Noah tries to steer the conversation to a lighter tone, remaining slightly embarrassed. Clara decides not to assist Ritoki in his plans, claiming it violates her own rules. The lieutenant general looks at her in surprise, realizing that her small but determined figure conceals an indomitable spirit. Clara notes that third-party intervention in love affairs rarely ends well. She says this with a serious expression, maintaining a confident demeanor while Ritokianus begins to realize the full complexity of his situation. After their conversation, Ritokianus leaves their home. Clara and Noah remain with As, who watches with silent calm. The farewell is filled with a slight tension, but each of them understands that their story is only just beginning. Ace, with a welcoming smile, offers the guests more tea. Her refined demeanor emphasizes the warm atmosphere. But behind this polite gesture, an underlying tension is discernible, causing a slight uneasiness in those present. This moment foreshadows further events. Noah and Retokianus find themselves in the middle of a heated argument. She accuses him of supporting Ace only because of the expensive wine he gave her. He calmly replies that he won't stay long as the morning promises to be tense. Their confrontation hints at a deeper conflict. Ace sees the guests off and warmly reminds them of the need to be careful. Her words sound almost maternal, creating the illusion of concern. But something flickers in her eyes that makes Noah wary. This scene heightens the tension between the characters. Noah turns to Retokianus, noticing the chill in the night air. She reminds him of his duties, though there's a hidden unease in her voice. A strange sense of distance grows between them, as if they stand on opposite sides of an invisible wall. Retokianus teases Noah with a gentle smile, asking why she's still outside. His playful tone evokes mixed feelings in her. She barely contains her anger, offended by his carelessness. This moment reveals the contradictions in their relationship. Noah's sudden gesture makes Retokianus freeze. She raises her finger to his lips, violating their privacy. He's confused, and her confident gesture seems like an attempt to gain control of the situation. This exacerbates the tension between them. Noah sternly reminds Retokianus of the agreement he promised to fulfill. Her eyes glow with determination, and her voice is firm. There's a hint of disappointment in her tone, as if she's encountered his broken promises more than once. She muses to herself how long she's thought Retokianus was toying with her emotions. But now her patience is wearing thin, and she's determined to find out the truth. Her internal monologue heightens the drama of what's happening. Noah wonders why he can't tell her he loves her. She holds his hand, and the touch seems to speak louder than words. Her despair and hope merge, creating a moment of fragile intimacy. Retokianus feels the invisible wall of distance between them, growing more and more tangible. Noah, turning away, firmly resolves not to be the first to confess his feelings. He understands that her pain is caused by his own indecision, but he still remains aloof. Retokianus and Noah meet at a house with a red vintage car in the background, discussing something important. Their postures convey tension, and Noah appears to be hiding something. The lieutenant general asks what she's afraid of, conveying concern and authority. Ami is complaining in the cafeteria about an incident. Someone started a fight during breakfast. Her emotions are irritated and outraged. Compared to Noah, she appears indifferent, but listens to the story. Noah, remaining calm, reveals that she is the captain herself. Amai dismisses this fact, claiming to know everyone by name, emphasizing her attention to detail. Amy threatens to tell the lieutenant general everything, calling him a crazy dog. The cartoonish drawings of the characters reflect the conflict and humor in their dialogue. A box of food and a note containing important information appear on the table. It's an order from General Flancy, asking him to look into the situation. Tensions rise, but Noah maintains his composure. Reading the note carefully, Noah is surprised by the mention of information restrictions. Her expression conveys a mixture of surprise and thoughtfulness, emphasizing the document's importance. In the conversation, Ami questions Noah's ability to handle the task. Noah responds sarcastically, noting the trust placed in her. A slight tension remains between them. Noah reveals the importance of the information by mentioning the prison warden who may be trying to hide it. She holds a sandwich symbolizing a familiar environment amidst a hidden threat. The ship's background states that only an admiral can control information at the lieutenant general level. This underscores the scale and seriousness of the conflict. Retokianus is presented in his majesty, in uniform with a cold gaze. He is at the top of the command structure, confirming his power and influence in the events unfolding. The captain's position remains vacant, but only one person can fill it. Ritokianus is depicted in a pensive mood, his figure full of majesty and mystery hinting at his importance in the events to come. Ami ponders General Flancy, fearing that his actions may be connected to something suspicious. However, she is reluctant to make baseless accusations, struggling with her inner doubts. Noah finds the note and wonders in surprise about the mysterious number written on the back. Her curiosity and suspicion gradually grow, foreshadowing the revelation. At a meeting with Ami, Noah learns that the number is a record of the arrival and departure of a major general from the rear headquarters. This discovery raises even more questions about the ongoing conspiracies. Noah begins to remember the day she met Sir Delight. Her thoughts take her to a moment when General Flancy was mysteriously absent, heightening her suspicions. She recalls Sir Delight's late arrival. A strange figure stands out in this memory, suggesting a deliberate concealment of the truth. Ritokianus smiles mysteriously, leading Noah to wonder about his role in the current situation. His secrecy raises suspicions about his true motives. A note with a cryptic message found enrages Noah. Her resolve to expose everyone involved grows stronger, and she's prepared to take any action to protect the truth. A secret envelope appears on the table. Concealed inside is information that could shed light on General Flancy's actions and his connections to Sir Delight. During a meeting with Ritokianus, it turns out that General Flancy and Sir Delight were in contact on the day Noah left for school. This fact confirms her suspicions and opens new avenues for further investigation. Ritokianus, leaning wearily on his arm, surveys the establishment that evokes his distaste. He barely conceals his irritation and sarcasm as he discusses the unexpected appearance of one of the guests. He clearly dislikes the atmosphere and makes it clear that the situation has escalated beyond all bounds. An officer in full dress uniform approaches Ritokianus, hinting with an undisguised hint of mockery at his bravery, which often borders on stupidity. Ritokianus, without hiding his position, dryly remarks that this man shouldn't be here. Their exchange of glances is tense. The officer, with a barely perceptible smile, is confident in his position, reminding them that everything has been decided and it's too late to retreat. His calmness slightly unsettles Ritokianus, but he quickly regains his composure. Now they both know things have gone too far. The new guest is clearly nervous, his movements betraying fear and uncertainty. Ritokianus watches him with icy calm understanding that he has no choice. A hint of satisfaction plays across his face as the situation is unfolding as he planned. The guest, clearly uncomfortable, receives strict orders to resolve his problem before Ritokianus returns. He makes it clear that retreat is impossible, but he adds a touch of irony, promising a reward for the completed task. His words conceal a cold calculation. Ritokianus looks the officer straight in the eye, challenging him. His red eyes glow with confidence, as if he's already anticipating his next move. The officer's words, attempting to turn the situation into humor, evoke nothing but mockery. The officer leaves his confidence evident, but Ritokianus doesn't look away. He understands this game is just beginning and intends to see it through to the end. A clock is visible behind him, symbolizing the limited time they have to carry out their plans. Ami, one of the people present, notices Ritokianus's strange expression and asks a question. But he dismisses it, deflecting the conversation and claiming he simply remembered something important. However, his expression makes it clear that the thought that has occurred to him troubles him. Ritokianus unexpectedly suggests leaving the guest alone until someone arrives who can resolve the situation. His words are softer, but they conceal a new plan. He carefully chooses the moment to turn the tide in his favor. The guest sarcastically replies that the responsibility for what's happening lies with Ritokianus if he continues to tease him. But despite his outward confidence, the guest clearly understands that he's under Ritokianus's control. The officer's final statement only confirms this. In a thoughtful conversation, two military men discuss their fates, comparing life to a long voyage on cement ships. This exchange is tinged with philosophy, as well as an ironic look at the difficulties they face, hinting at their resilience in the face of future trials. One of the characters recalls his family, describing his wife as a wild animal, and his children as inheriting this animal energy. The images of animals and their animal heritage fill the scene with a vivid metaphor, creating a sense of the unbridled power hidden in their family life. Ritoki displays decisiveness in his dialogue about his readiness to overcome difficulties. He acknowledges the unfairness of the situation, but firmly declares that he cannot allow himself to break. His words convey a mixture of pride, anger, and a desire to prove his resilience. Speaking of the fulfillment of important duties, Ritoshi assures his interlocutor that all approvals with the king have been completed. His confidence is reinforced by the knowledge that the senior officer notified the monarch promptly, despite the doubts of those around him. A latent tension manifests itself in the thought that the king might demand a stern explanation for his decision. However, this feeling quickly gives way to indignation when Ritoki notices the unfairness of the potential reproaches, doubting the rationality of those criticizing. A hint of mockery enters the conversation when the other party notes the similarity of views between him and the lieutenant general. This comment elicits a chuckle from Ritoki, emphasizing their shared complicity in a difficult choice and hinting at their similar madness in the performance of their duty. The mention of training with the knights evokes a slight smile from Ritoki. He quietly confirms that he will head to the training grounds in preparation for the physical challenges. His self-confidence underscores his inner strength and composure. The recruits are surprised to see horse-drawn carriages being used for transportation in this area. This evokes a slight sense of surprise, as even in the capital, such transport is not common. Their reaction adds a touch of culture shock to the scene. One of the young soldiers recalls today's breakfast with irritation, hinting at its unpalatability. This small detail adds humor to the overall picture, demonstrating that even in the midst of serious events, everyday trivialities still stirs. Appetizing croissants, fragrant with the aroma of butter, sit on the table. Simple yet vibrant, the scene symbolizes a moment of calm amidst the hustle and bustle, reminding us of the value of such small pleasures. The team admires the sumptuous lunch, noting the variety of dishes, the vibrant salads, the selection of sauces. Everything seems incredibly festive. It evokes delight and a sense of surprising contrast with their usual routine. One group member emotionally claims it's like a buffet, marveling at the sheer volume of food. Others discuss whether soldiers eat like this every day, adding to the mystery of their new surroundings. Ami expresses doubt, suggesting that such a reception was staged deliberately for effect. But her friend Noah is certain otherwise. The scale of the organization precludes such a possibility. Tensions rise and participants begin to speculate about ulterior motives. A man in a dark uniform with a commanding voice cuts off their speculation, urging everyone to focus on the purpose of the visit. He reminds the group of their responsibilities and puts them in an awkward position, emphasizing the importance of discipline. The moderator asks the group a stern question. Did they really come here for fun? One participant sheepishly denies it. The situation becomes tense, as everyone is now expected to give their all. After a tense exchange, a white-haired man approaches the group and greets them. He introduces himself as Dur Ice, the Special Command representative. His confident demeanor and confident manner underscore the importance of his role. Lieutenant General Dur Ice shakes hands with the group commander Guber. The senior knight thanks him for the opportunity to train together, emphasizing that it is a great honor for them to work with elite troops. A tall girl with long golden hair and a stern gaze appears on the horizon. Her elegance and powerful presence are admired. This is Noah, who despite her outward beauty immediately sets a serious tone. A group of military personnel discuss Noah's behavior and her extraordinary fortitude. They admire her, but understand that her presence demands maximum concentration from everyone. This all adds to the tension among the participants. The story ends with the anticipation of a joint training session. The atmosphere becomes serious, and each participant realizes the importance of what is happening. Lieutenant General Dur Ice concludes the briefing, assuring them of the importance of their mission. Ritoki, confidently demonstrating his leadership qualities, addresses the group, raising an important question. His serious tone hints at the difficult task ahead, and his gaze indicates that he expects a clear answer and readiness from his subordinates. The team members listen attentively to Ritokianus, who singles them out as special. This evokes a sense of pride in some, but it also weighs heavily on their shoulders. They understand that their mission carries great risks and opportunities. A young man in uniform poses a provocative question about the capabilities of ships, testing the limits of what they are allowed to do. His interest in personal vehicles creates tension among those gathered, and it seems this point could become a key element in their discussion. Ritokianus smiles reservedly, explaining that owning a personal ship requires great effort. His words emphasize that such opportunities are only available under exceptional circumstances, and only a few are able to take full advantage of them. Amy, standing with other team members, expresses skepticism about the equipment provided. Her critical comment, echoed by her teammate next to her, shows that not everyone shares the enthusiasm for the value of the equipment provided. A question about safety between men and women suddenly escalates the atmosphere. Tense glances and angry expressions make it clear that this issue touches on underlying issues within the team that require immediate resolution. The conflict escalates into an emotional altercation where threats and ridicule intertwine. Team members begin to lose their composure, but restraint and professionalism ultimately prevail. The situation escalates, but the participants understand that their shared goal is at stake. Noah takes the initiative, offering to test the equipment. Her calm confidence and charisma make the others stop talking and listen. Everyone understands that her offer isn't just words, but an opportunity to prove herself. The team is shown unusual devices they must master to operate the vehicle. It is explained that this complex equipment is provided specifically for training purposes, and its proper use could prove crucial in future missions. One participant notes that such devices often present difficulties for newcomers. However, his voice conveys a willingness to overcome any obstacles, as the team recognizes that their success depends on teamwork and discipline. Lieutenant General Ritokianus confidently notes that everything will go smoothly with the Royal Knights. His gaze reflects strength and confidence in the future, despite the difficult task they face. 3 knights discuss a new challenge, mentioning that the idea of walking on water sounds like a fun amusement ride. The lightheartedness of their conversation doesn't hide their excitement, as an unusual challenge awaits them. Upon arrival at the beach, the commander orders the soldiers to prepare protective gear to ensure successful completion of the training. Despite any underlying hesitation, the soldiers respond energetically, demonstrating their readiness for action. During the briefing, the simplicity of the task is demonstrated. The equipment is donned, and all you have to do is swim to the designated point. Ritokianus speaks confidently, demonstrating that it's possible if you follow the rules. The lieutenant general demonstrates how to properly use the equipment. His gestures are confident, and his gaze leaves no doubt. He expects his subordinates to follow through. One of the knights lifts the protective gear, surprised by its weight, about 40 kilograms. This becomes the group's first challenge, as the weight makes them doubt their abilities. A detailed description of the equipment follows. It was created by the magical Lavello family. Its uniqueness lies in its combination of advanced technology and the kingdom's magic. The test begins, and one of the participants successfully navigates the water, demonstrating the power of the equipment. Even in emergency situations, it allows rescuers to stay afloat. It's revealed that the lieutenant general himself once considered this masterpiece unfinished. He jokes that, for the first time, he felt like he was carrying a house on his back. The test's outcome was harsh. The knights lay on the shore exhausted from the strain. Ritokianus looked them over, thoughtfully assessing the results of their training, but noted that this was an important step toward their development. A young man comes to on the beach. He lies exhausted, looking at the sky. A seagull takes flight nearby, as if greeting him. Its faint moan hints at a long and arduous struggle for life. It seems he has just survived some mysterious incident. The other soldiers, including a tall white-haired man named Ritokianus, look worried, but quickly calm down when they see the boys alive. One of the officers jokingly suggests they come over for a visit, but is refused. The boy's older sister is clearly not thrilled about making new acquaintances. On the beach, a young man notices something unusual on his body. His hand trembles, and his expression betrays obvious confusion. He realizes he's wearing something strange, inappropriate for a normal situation. His words convey a sense of surprise. He doesn't understand how he can use this object normally. The boy recalls trying to find information about some ship. He struggles to collect his thoughts, but the memory seems important. The sounds and actions around him fail to distract him, and questions about the purpose and consequences of this search swirl in his head. Despite his weakness, the boy resolutely regains his composure. He concludes that he has no choice but to use his last remaining strength. His face expresses an inner struggle and determination that resonates in his every movement. Guests and waiters are animatedly discussing the day, thanking each other for a job well done. A festive atmosphere permeates the room despite the slight chaos. A sense of warmth and unity permeates the air. At one of the tables, a man in light clothing with a playful grin tries to relax. But his companion, a fair-haired bartender, is indignant. He accuses the guest of having to open the establishment in broad daylight, disrupting their holiday plans. The white-haired man laughs at the situation, reminding them how nice it is to earn money. The bartender looks at him with slight annoyance, but continues the conversation. The connection between them is clearly one of old acquaintance. The white-haired man decides to add humor to the conversation by offering to bill the expenses to the Navy. The bartender remarks that this is too much, but seems willing to relent. The atmosphere lightens slightly, and a hint of sarcasm is heard. The scene ends with a dialogue in which the white-haired man claims to be a simple and honest soldier. However, the bartender counters, anyone who brings their subordinates out for drinks during the day can hardly be considered honest. The evening continues filled with smiles and light playfulness. Soldiers have gathered in a noisy tavern. The chief military chaplain stands out among them, his charisma and radiant appearance drawing attention. His presence raises questions, as he is rarely seen outside of ceremonies. The atmosphere becomes lively. The chaplain demonstrates his charisma by offering the soldiers an unusual entertainment. He pours drinks, claiming it is the will of heaven. The soldiers are delighted, witnessing his confidence, an unusual way to boost morale. The soldiers are amazed by the chaplain's sincerity and his unique style. They discuss what's happening, unable to believe they've witnessed such a miracle. Their conversations are filled with joy and wonder, as if they've received not just refreshments, but also a boost of inspiration. A dialogue breaks out among the soldiers about how similar events are conducted in other units. One of them shares his concerns about the country's future, demonstrating that even in such moments of joy, soldiers are not immune to serious reflection. Ritok Ayanis, a lieutenant general with white hair and red eyes, addresses his comrade asking about the completion of his mission. He is calm, but his confidence conveys the gravity of the situation and the importance of the mission. His companion, wasting no time, hands Ritaki Anis a bundle of documents. He says the general is the best candidate for this task. This elicits a slight smile from Ritaki Anis, who is confident in his abilities. The general jokingly replies that he's only good at his job and that he cares little about anything else. His words evoke smiles in those who hear them, creating a more relaxed atmosphere among those present. Ritoki Anis's comrade raises a personal question, inquiring about his encounters with the mysterious girl. The general avoids a direct answer, indicating he doesn't wish to discuss personal matters, especially in such a noisy company. The soldier remarks that this looks sad. His words are slightly ironic, but they convey a desire to better understand his general. A casual rapport develops between them. Finally, the comrade makes an important remark about the girl, hinting at her special place in Reitokianis's life. The general confirms this with a slight smile, leaving a mysterious intrigue in the air. In a cozy tavern, Lieutenant General Reitokianis, a man with white hair and red eyes, discusses a difficult situation with the bartender. The bartender advises letting go of a woman with whom something unusual is connected, but Ritokianis, with a slight smile, admits that this is precisely how he was loved. Clara, a petite blonde with blue eyes, suddenly feels anxious in class. She senses something bad is connected to her older sister. Her friends in class ask her in confusion how she knows this, but Clara is certain her intuition is right. Clara's friends try to understand why she's so sure she claims it's a woman's intuition, which is always right. This provokes a mixture of surprise and laughter among her classmates, who begin actively discussing Clara's mysterious feeling. The conversation takes a more serious turn when one of the friends asks if Clara's older sister has a boyfriend. Clara reveals that her sister has a crush, sparking a lively discussion and a wave of excitement in the class. Clara clarifies that she knows this man, but there's a problem with him. Her classmates, excited by her words, begin to speculate about who this man is, becoming increasingly engrossed in this romantic discussion. Clara adds drama by revealing that this man has a dangerous nickname, Crazy Dog. This news stuns everyone, and some begin to fear that this man could cause trouble for her sister. Despite the creepy nickname, one of his friends remarks that he's probably handsome. Clara, with a mixed expression, agrees, but adds that looks aren't everything, shifting the conversation to a more philosophical direction. His classmates continue to tease him, noticing that Clara has been repeatedly commenting on his appearance. They consider this praiseworthy, and it's starting to feel like a scene from a movie filled with drama and romance. Clara explains that this man may be good, but he still remains a serious problem. This makes everyone question the danger of her sister's choice. Ultimately, the discussion concludes with the idea that despite all the dangers, feelings and beauty are not dependent on words and nicknames. Clara and her classmates drop the topic, but a slight worry for Clara's sister remains in their hearts. In the school classroom, a young student with a serious expression complains to the teacher about the girls who are talking loudly again. He tries to show his diligence by raising his hand, while behind him, the girls quietly giggle, disrupting the order and surprising the teacher. The teacher, addressing the class, urges the students to remain focused and concentrate on their books. Her calm voice cuts through the murmur, and the girls, noticing the seriousness of the moment, meekly agree. But their lively behavior still hints at potential mischief. The blonde, golden-haired boy casts a mocking glance at the girls, silently noting their behavior with irritation. The teacher notices his tense state and admonishes him to behave properly, setting an example for his classmates. A girl with long golden curls, Clara looks upset. She sits at her desk, wiping away tears, and worriedly ponders the situation. She attracts the attention of a classmate who curiously asks if everything is okay. The young man standing at the board suddenly becomes defensive when Clara notices his attention. His reaction becomes violent, denying anything that might hint at his affection, drawing laughter from those around him. Clara feels hurt and humiliated, but sympathetic classmates appear nearby, trying to support her. Her tears attract attention, and one of the boys remarks that the worst thing is seeing a girl cry while trying to console her. Clara despairingly says that her sister and someone else have already told her how things could be better. Her words reveal the hidden resentment that has been building up in her soul, revealing her inner vulnerability. One of the boys reflects on how teenagers often act immaturely during adolescence, attracting attention from those they like through crude jokes or teasing. This realization makes him reflect on his own behavior. A classmate advises another boy to be honest and just confess his feelings if he truly likes Clara. The embarrassment and anger on the blonde boy's face betray his inner struggle, but he continues to vehemently deny everything. The boy sarcastically remarks that his father could punish everyone for such behavior. His words, however, have no effect, as his interlocutor calmly reminds him of his noble origins, ending the scene with a touch of irony. A golden-haired, green-eyed youth menacingly declares that once his father completes his work, serious changes will occur. His face expresses rage, creating tension and emphasizing the gravity of what is happening. The bespectacled man calmly answers, with a short, firm no. His restraint contrasts with the other man's heated reaction. The atmosphere in the classroom is tense, as if every second is filled with hidden conflict. A bespectacled young man confidently declares that the Navy will protect the Southern territories. His words ring out like a promise and command respect, while the warm light in the background heightens the drama of the moment. In another room, the maids are discussing the new hero. The younger blonde happily confirms that he is the same smart, bespectacled young man. Their conversation seems light and casual, adding a touch of warmth to the overall plot. Clara smiles as she explains that the bespectacled hero is her best friend. However, her friend points out that friendship between a man and a woman is impossible, emphasizing the inevitability of love or hate. Their dialogue is full of hidden emotions. Clara genuinely wonders what love and hate are. The question catches everyone off guard, but the girl's innocence makes the scene touching. The blonde, embarrassed, changes the subject to homework to avoid complex explanations. Clara climbs the stairs thoughtfully, while the maids continue to discuss how they shouldn't have taught the girl such things. They discuss the complexities of modern youth with a touch of humor and amusement. While washing dishes, one of the women suddenly asks how things are going with the lieutenant general. The question seems unexpected, and the pause in the conversation adds intrigue and anticipation. A girl with long blonde hair earnestly confesses that she has accepted a marriage proposal. Her calm and decisiveness are admirable, and the warm candlelight enhances the romance of the moment. Ami is stunned by the confession and asks in surprise if it's really true. However, the blonde sadly notes that her offer was rejected. The emotional tension reaches a peak, leaving a feeling of unfinished business. Ami, with a slight smile, remarks how anyone can move forward with a wedding after a serious argument. Her gaze is skeptical, but she maintains her composure, showing that her opinion is important, albeit slightly mockingly. In the cozy, light-filled kitchen, Ami shares her thoughts, confident that Noah likes her. She watches the blonde woman carefully as she calmly goes about her business. Noah looks away thoughtfully, reflecting on the desires she'd previously voiced. Her face betrays an internal struggle, hinting at a conflict between reason and emotion. The evening light accentuates the solemnity of the moment. Noah and her companion discuss her hesitation to confess and tell about her failed promotion. However, his confidence suggests hidden support and hope. Noah's gaze returns to the kitchen, where her thoughts are interspersed with admiration for the simplicity of the moment. She understands that despite the difficulties, her feelings for this man remain genuine. In a room, 3 young men sit at a table, discussing their friend's appearance, ironically calling him a zombie. The atmosphere is tense with light mockery, lending a touch of humor to the scene. A group of knights begins special training. Noah watches them from afar, amazed by their determination. Her thoughts are filled with questions. Why are they doing this, and what does it mean to them? A discussion takes place around a long table. One participant calls the preparation hell, confirming its difficulty. They realize that even if they are special, they will not receive preferential treatment. The food on Noah's plate leaves her with mixed feelings. She hears someone joke about a private jet, which makes her smile, though her mind is still preoccupied with something important. A white-haired girl talks about her admiration for one of her comrades inspired by his reputation. However, it soon becomes clear that for him, training has become a challenge that he strives to overcome at any cost. The young man sat at the table, his expression serious and thoughtful. His thoughts were focused on how he had voluntarily agreed to these trials. In the oppressive atmosphere of the room, he tried to understand what motivated him and how to overcome his inner doubts. The cadets gathered in the dining hall, tired and depressed. They discussed how the rigorous workload was sapping their energy. One of them remarked that food no longer helped restore their energy. The general atmosphere of tension was compounded by quiet complaints and hints of despair. The constant training the cadets had to endure exhausted them to the limit. Exhausting loads, jumping, running with backpacks, and falls became their daily routine. The young man realized that such a routine was becoming a true test of their endurance. The instructor, with a bright smile, tried to inspire the group. He explained that this was the basic training necessary for operating a boat. His optimism seemed misplaced, given their fatigue, but he continued to convince them that only discipline would lead to success. The cadets discussed the situation emotionally. One of them, unable to contain himself, expressed anger, accusing the instructor of deliberately wearing them down. Others reminded them that everyone goes through this training. Their conversation was seething with emotion, but everyone tried to find support in it. The group decided to move to a quieter location to continue their discussion. One of the cadets took the initiative, suggesting they organize themselves and calm down. Despite their fatigue, they tried to maintain motivation and focus on the next steps. In the storage room, the cadets exchanged thoughts. One of them reflected on how this was their territory, comparing the situation to wild animals unable to find their way to the sea. Their conversation was filled with philosophical reflections on transcending boundaries. The situation grew increasingly tense. One of the cadets suggested waiting 2 days before making an important decision. His confidence and decisiveness inspired the others. They began discussing how best to prepare for the next step. Amidst the tense silence, the news broke that a ship from the kingdom would arrive in 3 days. This news filled the cadets with hope. They realized that the difficult days of training were coming to an end, and something significant lay ahead. The cadets, united in their shared challenges, began to believe in themselves. Despite the difficulties they felt, their efforts would soon be worthwhile. This thought became their driving force, strengthening their resolve to see things through and achieve their goal. In a tensely silent room, the hero sits on the floor, thoughtfully fingering a black card. His concentration is interrupted by a discussion of the arrival of an important general, which clearly adds urgency to the proceedings. The hero holds the card up to the light, examining it. The question of what this object is sounds almost rhetorical. It becomes clear that it is a key to the armory delivered by a mysterious guard, whose role in this plot remains behind the scenes. With determination in his eyes, the hero explains that a ship is expected to arrive tonight. All he needs to do is steal it. He says these words as if it's a matter of course, but his voice is tense and his gaze betrays a hidden anxiety. His comrade, with a cold expression, asks a direct question, as if questioning the feasibility of his plan. This short pause feels like an eternity, but the hero answers calmly that it is possible despite all the difficulties. His blonde comrade points out that they're talking about naval headquarters, the most secure location in the kingdom. This adds an extra layer of drama and underscores the risk they're willing to take. The hero, sitting in the corner of the room, peers into the supply crates, his figure seeming withdrawn. He understands that the task at hand is far from simple, and a shadow of doubt crosses his face, though he tries to hide it. The hero's internal monologue reveals his thoughts. He admits to himself that his plan borders on betrayal. This admission is accompanied by a mixture of guilt and determination, making the reader feel the tension of his dilemma. However, the hero finds the strength to justify his actions. He reminds himself and others that the goal of all this is money. This argument sounds like a last-ditch attempt to convince not only his comrades, but himself as well. The hero and his team inspect the cargo. He tries to inspire confidence, saying, "It's possible." One of his comrades apologizes for his nervousness, revealing that fear is still present. The hero's gaze becomes cold but confident. He promises they will never be caught, and this final phrase sounds like a vow. His face reflects the determination that has now infected everyone involved in the plan. In a warehouse surrounded by crates, 2 men prepare to leave. They realize their prolonged absence could arouse suspicion. One of them, demonstrating persistence, completes his preparations, reflecting an anxious but determined mood. A man with white hair and red eyes, Ritokianus, smiles as he contemplates persuasive tactics. His gaze sparkles with cunning, hinting at a plan that will bring the desired result. The air of his confidence heightens the tension. The image of a castle by the sea at night evokes thoughts of the calm before a storm. The moon illuminates the majestic towers, creating a contrast between the superficial idyll and the hidden intrigue. A difficult journey awaits the heroes. A question is heard from inside the room about the arrival of a private ship. The young officer is clearly confused by the unexpected news, but his interlocutor in the blue uniform remains calm, emphasizing his authority. An officer in uniform praises his comrade's hard work, reminding him of the need for official permission. His confidence and approval encourage his interlocutor to make a bold decision, reinforcing his optimism. The young man expresses enthusiasm and joy, hoping for good fortune. His sincere emotions contrast with the reserved calm of the others, creating a vibrant atmosphere in the moment. The handshake between the heroes symbolizes their alliance and mutual respect. It's a significant honor for them. Their smiles emphasize the sincerity of their intentions and their confidence in success. The officer mentions the difficulty of handling weapons. His words emphasize that even the most experienced encounter challenges earning admiration and respect. The young man recalls the officer's past achievements, calling him a hero. This moment emphasizes recognition of his accomplishments. But the officer modestly denies his leadership, emphasizing teamwork. The man admits that at that time he was only an academy graduate, but the real hero was a lieutenant general. His sincerity and respect for his superiors underscore his nobility and humility. Ritokeyanus, a lieutenant general with an impeccable reputation, walks down the corridor alongside a junior officer who excitedly mentions his commander's accomplishments. The man silently accepts the praise, maintaining a stern posture and an impassive expression projecting confidence and authority. Noah, a blonde with a cold gaze, sits at the table, pondering the situation intensely. Dark thoughts swirl in her head, reflected in her clenched fists and piercing gaze. Her decision is absolute. She is ready to eliminate those who threaten her plans. An officer enters Noah's office with concern, reporting news of Ritokianus's actions. He appears confused and embarrassed by her commanding presence. Noah, frowning slightly, clarifies the details, analyzing what he's heard and instantly formulating a new plan of action. The officer confirms that everyone has reported for duty except Noah. Her eyes gleam with hidden determination. She ignores the officer's attempts at justification, focusing on regaining control of the situation despite the apparent chaos. Ritokianus stands by the window, observing the city. His distant gaze betrays inner doubt. Thoughts of the complexities of love and hate race through his mind, mixed with anxiety about his own plans, which are unfolding in an unknown direction. Noah decides she must face Ritokianus once more, but this time on her own terms. She recalls their previous encounter and concludes that, to win, she must cast aside all restraints. Her gaze is full of determination and cold fury, underscoring her iron will. Ritokianus walks along a picturesque path, with an officer admiring the tranquility and beauty of the place. His calm seems out of place as a premonition of impending conflict hovers nearby. The officer, slightly nervous, attempts to maintain a casual conversation. The officer ponders the security and strict supervision of this location, knowing it is used for critical operations. His tension mounts, but Ritokianus suddenly interrupts his thoughts, confirming that the location is perfectly disguised as something innocent. The lieutenant general reveals that access to this location is restricted to a select few, including himself. He shows the officer a security card, confirming the uniqueness and secrecy of this facility, eliciting a mixture of admiration and bewilderment from the subordinate. The conversation ends with a light joke, but Ritokianus conceals his true intentions behind a smile. His subtle movements and calm inspire confidence, yet even the officer realizes that behind the outward good humor lies a cold calculation. Ritokianus, amazed by the magical shield he saw, appreciates the scale of the defense, which clearly exceeds his expectations. His companion, smiling, confirms that security in their domain has always been excellent, which commands respect for their efforts. The couple walks toward the gate. Ritokianus, still surprised, watches their every step as his companion confidently opens the gate and invites them inside. The sunset is visible over the horizon, creating an atmosphere full of mystery and anticipation. Sir Delight confirms his conclusions, addressing Knight Farrat and General Flinzy. He emphasizes that everyone is involved in the matter under discussion. The atmosphere grows tense, and the intrigue only intensifies. General Ritokianus studies the documents, noting the aristocracy of the Delight family. He muses that there's no point in a child from such a prestigious family attending a regular school. It's as if echoes of past conflicts fill the air. The narrative shifts to the childhood of one of the characters, when the Delight family's financial situation was on the brink of bankruptcy. The young man appeared desperate, but remained determined to fight for a better future. Ritokianus recalls a family lawyer he met in school. However, it turns out he was actually an immigration broker, adding layers to the events unfolding. The story takes a dark turn. In an attempt to secure tutors, the hero even resorted to gambling. Ritokianus assesses his behavior as pathetic, but can't hide a hint of bitterness in his assessment. Suddenly, Noah, the captain with shining blue eyes, enters the room. Her sharp voice interrupts Ritokianus's thoughts, causing him to fall silent in surprise. The atmosphere grows even more tense. Ritokianus, still stunned by the unexpected appearance, turns to Noah. She remains calm, but her gaze reveals a hidden determination. Behind her, another participant in their discussion is visible. Noah, looking intently at Ritokianus, asks him about tomorrow evening. Her voice is firm, leaving the feeling that behind her words lies an important plan that will change the course of events. Lieutenant General Ritokianus and Noah meet in the conference room. The woman shyly asks if he's asking her out on a date. The man, stunned, confirms. The atmosphere in the room grows tense, and their colleagues watch this unexpected turn of events with interest. With blue eyes full of determination, Noah invites Ritokianus to a date tomorrow if he has nothing to do. Her sincere and direct tone jolts the man out of his usual composure. The offer makes him momentarily forget his status. Ritokianus, confused, covers his face with his hand, trying to hide his confusion. His colleagues sitting nearby try to suppress their laughter, watching his reaction. They exchange glances, clearly enjoying the informality of the situation. One of the officers suggests Noah continue the evening at the hotel, adding a humorous detail about preparing the linen which she liked. This comment completely shatters the seriousness of the moment. The atmosphere becomes almost comical, but Noah remains confident. Ritokianus tries to change the subject, as if suggesting Noah try something else. Noah, indignant, tries to figure out which of them should be feeling embarrassed. This emotional moment is both dramatic and hilarious. Ritokianus's smile returns when he asks why Noah is so flustered. He suggests she not be shy and just say it straight out. Noah, for her part, begins to doubt which of them should be more embarrassed. Ritokianus's internal monologue reveals his plans. He understands that an important operation is planned for tomorrow, and is determined to keep Noah from learning anything about it. Regretfully, he announces that he will be busy while on duty. Noah, hearing his refusal, responds coldly, urging him to forget her offer. Her voice is filled with a note of resentment, which attracts Ritokianus's attention. He looks at her clearly, sensing the bitterness of her reaction. Returning to the table, one of the officers tries to support Noah, hinting that she might be partial to Ritokianus. Her silent tension doesn't go unnoticed, but she tries to maintain her composure. All the meeting participants look at Noah with smiles, understanding her feelings. Ritokianus, despite his restraint, also seems slightly embarrassed. This scene ends their meeting with a touch of intrigue and a hint of further developments. The young woman addresses the officer decisively, urging him to action. However, her stern tone leaves him unsettled, and he sheepishly complies with her command to lie down on the floor, explaining that he was only being considerate of her. Two officers are engaged in a tense conversation at the table. The white-haired man, clearly the senior officer, addresses his interlocutor by name, creating tension in the dialogue. The officers are discussing something important related to their plans. The white-haired man thoughtfully asks a provocative question about the significance of the loss of a single ship for the kingdom. His interlocutor, taken aback by the unexpectedness, dismisses the idea, and with a smile asks him not to dream of such a thing. Three men assess the situation on the seashore. One of them worriedly inquires about a tale, but is assured that no one is nearby. Their conversation suggests a covert mission that requires caution. One of the group's members, a dark-haired man with a determined expression, asks where their subordinates are. His tone is wary, and the answer is a vague one, heightening the tension. Approaching the building, the group discusses the location of their personal ship. A dark-haired man, clearly the leader, defiantly chides his companions for their indecision, demonstrating confidence in his actions. Inside the building, three escorting officers stand perplexed by the threat. Their anxiety is evident on their faces. One of them suggests stopping, but is told it's too late for regrets. The blonde officer timidly remarks that even if they confess to their actions, the blame will ultimately fall on him. His words are accompanied by a nervous expression, clearly fearful of the consequences. The leader abruptly cuts off all excuses, accusing his companions of treason. His anger and determination instill fear in his subordinates. His words are clearly menacing, underscoring the gravity of the situation. Summing up, the leader declares that they now have only two options: promotion or the guillotine. His companions are stunned by such categoricalness and their silence betrays complete shock and fear. The scene concludes the narrative on a high note of tensions. A man with a suitcase walks away from his house, tense and frustrated, reflecting on those he considers fools. The situation is clearly tense, and he's considering a serious decision. He encounters another character who sarcastically reminds him of the possible betrayal of his companions. The man is distraught, feeling the gravity of the situation. A group of people board a boat near the shore, planning to set sail as quickly as possible. The atmosphere foreshadows a dangerous undertaking. One of the participants suddenly mentions the protagonist's family, provoking him as if deliberately touching on something personal. His face reflects a mixture of pain and anxiety. The host smirks evilly, mentioning that the hero got everything he wanted, but it's time to answer for his actions. His words sound like an accusation and a challenge. The men in the boat approach a large ship. Conversing among themselves, they note that the ship belongs to the kingdom, preparing to meet it. Before boarding the ship, one of them insists on checking everything first. The atmosphere becomes increasingly tense. A group of people inside the ship is clearly doing something suspicious, but they assure everyone everything is under control. One of them urges everyone to cooperate with the kingdom. The hero is forced to go and check something on the ship following orders. His gaze betrays hidden irritation and determination. One of the people present notices something strange, suddenly asking a disturbing question. The situation escalates, leaving a sense of impending danger. A tense situation erupts on the ship's deck. Noah finds herself surrounded by a group of men stunned by her appearance. The tension mounts. Her presence raises questions. The men realize they are dealing with someone from the Navy and wonder why she's on their property. The two men discuss something amiss. They notice Noah's lack of backup, which makes them doubtful and distrustful. Noah appears confident and strong. She stands alone, but her determined gaze and readiness for battle instill fear in her opponents. One of the men armed with daggers shows determination to deal with Noah, unaware that her preparation may exceed their expectations. One of the opponents tries to calm Noah with words suggesting she surrender. He tries to appear seductive, but his attempt comes off as pathetic. Noah silently places his sword at the man's neck. His confidence instantly vanishes, and he realizes her seriousness is not to be underestimated. Noah's expression turns cold and disdainful. She takes the gun, her mood dark, and makes it clear she will not tolerate disdain. Two men attack Noah with guns and shout insults. They try to gain control of the situation by attacking her simultaneously. Noah displays her strength and agility. She instantly neutralizes one opponent, leaving the other terrified by her skill and courage. A man fights a dangerous opponent, swinging his weapon furiously, his face full of determination. He strives to defeat his enemy at any cost. He freezes, unable to find an opponent. He stares at the empty space with alarm and bewilderment, clutching his weapon tightly. His companions panicked and debated their course of action. One of them decisively declared that there was no other way out but to destroy the enemy. One of the hero's eyes catches on a fallen pistol. He realizes this could be a chance to change the situation. Having seized the weapon, the opponent points it at the blonde, clearly intending to end the fight. However, she is prepared to defend herself. The heroine, surrounded by a magical barrier, remains confident. The men are amazed by her unexpected protection. She explains that as a member of the fleet, she is able to use powerful magic, displaying her power to stunned enemies. The mutineers have been arrested. They are accused of hijacking a ship and smuggling. The situation is now under control. Lieutenant General Retoki Anus listens attentively to the report. He is aware that the rebels may have accomplices. The rebel ship suddenly explodes. Noah, with an innocent smile, calls it an accident, leaving his enemies in shock. Retoki Anus is displeased with Captain Bello's behavior, which is acting contrary to orders. His stern gaze underscores the tenseness of the situation. The soldiers find themselves in a difficult situation, facing the general's displeasure. Their tension mounts when Noah arrives on the scene. One of the soldiers defends himself, claiming that Captain Bello knew everything from the very beginning and does not tolerate interference in her actions. Retoki Anus blames his subordinates as they helped the captain break into the armory despite the ban. The general's plan fails. He recalls that their main objective was to expose the secret order through the chief of staff. To carry out his plan, Retoki Anus arranges for the situation to appear as if he accidentally dropped the key to the warehouse at a dinner party. The key ends up in the hands of a spy, who was supposed to hand it over to Farhat, completing the general's clever combination. After completing his mission, General Flancy was arrested, as he turned out to be a pawn in Rito Kianis's strategic game. The arrest of the traitors and their allies is the final stage of the operation. Preparations for their capture are underway at the border crossing. Noah appears at the end addressing Rito Kianis. Her presence adds uncertainty to the outcome. Noah, deeply hurt, turns to Rito Kianis with reproach, reminding him of her help. She waits for a response, but the silence intensifies her anger. Rito Kianis looks at Noah with a cold expression unresponsive to her words. His silence only fuels her displeasure, making her question his sincerity. Noah furiously accuses Rito Kianis of betrayal. She believes he concealed the truth and rejected her efforts, which triggers an outburst of emotion. The girl yells at him, claiming that his indifference demonstrates a complete disregard for her conditions, which seems like a real humiliation to her. Noah expresses her frustration, breaking into a scream. Her voice trembles, and her face contorts in pain, underscoring her genuine hurt. One of the officers tries to intervene, calling Noah Captain Bello. He's clearly concerned about what's happening, trying to prevent the conflict from escalating. Another group of officers decides to retreat from the scene of the conflict, intending to discuss the situation at headquarters. Their seriousness hints at the importance of further discussion. Rito Kianis realizes the situation is threatening to turn catastrophic. His thoughts race through his head, but his face reflects a restrained anxiety. Headquarters receives a report from the military police regarding the general's illegal actions. Details of the case point to hidden financial fraud. Rito Kianis, lying on the couch, looks dejected as he processes what's happening. He understands that the consequences of these events could be extremely serious. In a spacious office, an officer reports on the information received from Captain Bella, which revealed illegal transactions. His seriousness underscores the importance of the information. Lieutenant General Rito Kianis appears thoughtful and focused. He dares to ask a question, but his restraint betrays concern for not appearing rude. Rito Kianis sits in a chair pondering his actions. His gaze betrays doubt, and he wonders if he deserves what happened to him. The scene takes a comical turn when Rito Kianis cartoonishly admits to having spent the entire night in tears, which eases the tension. Gathering his courage, Rito Kianis covers his face with his hand, and with a heavy sigh, tries to regain his seriousness, preparing to listen to his colleague. Rito Kianis's interlocutor emphasizes that Captain Bella is strong and independent, which makes him admire and respect her professionalism. In remembering Bella, Rito Kianis notes her virtues: unwavering honesty, outstanding abilities, and an inner pride that make her unique. Rito Kianis expresses concern about the captain's actions, but his colleague gently reminds him of her free-spirited nature and ability to handle challenges. With a slight smile, the lieutenant general realizes that his naivety in assessing the situation prevents him from fully understanding the motives of others. Captain Bella is a daring and freedom-loving woman capable of unexpected actions. Rito Kianis tries to understand Noah, reminding her that her actions and words could hurt those close to her. He appears thoughtful and worried. Rito Kianis admits to recognizing his mistakes. His facial expression conveys an internal struggle and a desire to correct his actions. Rito Kianis reflects on his limited knowledge, trusting the stories of others without delving into the details, which raises doubts about his approach. His words are tinged with irony as he notes that his behavior seems natural, but he is haunted by the thought of how he is seen from the outside. Rito Kianis sits alone pondering the contradiction of inflicting pain to protect loved ones. His doubts deepen. He acknowledges himself as the embodiment of contradictions, a bitter smile appearing on his face. This underscores his inner disunity. Rito Kianis sharply calls Noah out on her behavior, highlighting his insolence and disobedience to orders, which underscores their complex relationship. Noah, realizing her guilt, apologizes. Her posture and gaze demonstrate humility and a willingness to acknowledge her mistakes. Rito Kianis sternly reminds Noah of the military's responsibility for using weapons, pointing out the possible consequences. Noah confidently declares that she is ready to accept punishment, demonstrating her responsibility and strength of character, despite the difficult situation. Ritokianus notices blood on Noah's hand and asks how she's feeling. She assures him it's the enemy's blood and there's no cause for concern. Ritokianus addresses Noah as captain, apologizing for what happened. She resolutely promises to be more careful in the future to ensure something like this doesn't happen again. Ritokianus acknowledges that Noah is angry with him, but has no intention of apologizing. His confidence in his position only angers her further. Noah indignantly asks why Ritokianus decided to act quietly. He replies that he didn't want to attract unnecessary attention. Ritokianus explains that the operation involved uncovering traitors, so he was extremely cautious. Information could have fallen into enemy hands. Noah ponders Ritokianus's words, understanding the logic behind his actions. However, she wants to hear it straight from his lips. Noah asks him one last question. Why wasn't she included in his plan? Her voice is full of bitterness and resentment. Ritokianus remains silent, and Noah despairingly declares that the question was too difficult for him. She furiously asks when he will admit his feelings. Noah takes his silence as an answer, and decides she's finally figured it out. Ritokianus tries to stop her, but words come hard. Ritokianus reaches out to Noah, trying to explain, but her resolve grows. She no longer wants to wait for answers that will never come. Noah reaches out to Ritokianus, begging him to explain if her assumptions are wrong. She craves even a spark of truth from him. She asks if he's happy with her, if he has any regrets revealing her confusion. Her voice is full of pain and hope. Ritokianus distances himself from her. Confused, she asks why he's suddenly become so cold and indifferent to their relationship. She recalls his former care when he seemed incapable of living without her. However, now his true feelings have become a secret. He awakened affection and passion in her, but his indifference hurts her. She realizes the full depth of her conflicting emotions. Her pain turns into despair. She believes that it would be better if he used her and abandoned her than left her to drown in her own melancholy. Realizing her humiliation, Noah admits that she was the only one who fell in love and was left with nothing in this relationship. She reproaches Ritokianus for playing on her feelings, pretending to be the victim in their agreement to make it look like his concession. Noah decides to end this painful story. Tired, she declares it's time to return to headquarters, abandoning any further struggle. Ritokianus is shocked by her decision and offers to drive her. Noah, putting this episode behind her, continues on her journey alone. Ritokianus and Noah part ways at the bridge. Noah is devastated, realizing that their relationship is over and there's nothing left between them. Returning home, Noah reflects bitterly on her stupidity and self-critically realizes how much of a mistake she made. The painful awareness of her actions leaves Noah feeling physically weak. She lies in bed, struggling with tormenting thoughts. Clara bursts into Noah's room, concerned about her condition. Her sister immediately notices that something is wrong with Noah and tries to help. Clara cautiously asks Noah why she didn't go to work, suspecting that the reason is because she's feeling unwell. After examining Noah, Clara is alarmed by her hot forehead. She's trying to figure out what happened and is clearly concerned about her sister's condition. Noah, despite his weakness, tries to make fun of her by asking Clara playful questions about his ability to earn money, but her tone suggests fatigue. Clara reacts warily to Noah's joke, but realizes that her sister is just trying to relieve tension and relaxes a little. Ace enters the room to remind Clara that it's time for school. Clara hesitates, but the situation demands her presence. Clara, unwilling to leave her sister alone, desperately tries to help her, while Ace persuades her to leave the room. Noah feels depressed. Ace helps Clara get ready for school, insisting on hurrying. Noah, remaining in bed, asks to be reminded about her medications and to inform the military. Noah's tired expression turns serious. She orders Ace to contact the military, immediately emphasizing the gravity of the situation. Noah, lying in bed, hears a familiar voice, which alarms her. She tries to remember who it belongs to. A man with white hair appears on the house's grounds. Ace and Clara greet him. The man greets them politely, calling them by name. Clara, indignant, asks the man if he's the cause of her sister's illness. Her straightforwardness surprises and leaves her slightly confused. Clara's indignation grows. She screams, threatening the man. Ace, shocked, tries to restrain her, warning her about her vision being damaged by anger. Clara, ignoring Ace's comments, decides that today she's ready to spill someone's blood. Ace, confused, doesn't intervene. The man maintains his composure, apologizing for the situation. Ace restrains Clara, begging her to calm down, despite her indignation. A man comes to visit a sick Noah. She lies in bed and sarcastically asks why he dared to appear in her room. The man standing by the bed explains that he has received permission to come. His calm perplexes Noah. Ritoki enters Noah's room, his red eyes scanning the room. Noah lies under the blanket, his gaze wary. He reminds her who's boss, but the tension is palpable in his voice. Noah reflects on how his behavior has changed. She notices that he no longer mentions her sister, which used to be inevitable. Ritoki sits down at the table and answers her silent question with a slight smile. He points out that she should have been more careful and taken care of herself earlier. He sits down on the bed, his gaze becoming thoughtful. Ritoki realizes he's missed a lot and should have noticed important things sooner. Noah, covered with a blanket, asks him in a reserved tone why he came. Her tone is cold, but there's a hidden emotion in her voice. Ritoki replies that he has no intention of throwing her out. He emphasizes that if the head of the house has permitted her presence, he cannot send her away. He thinks back to Mrs. Clara, trying to imagine what Noah was like as a child. He's sure she was a sweetheart, despite her current stern appearance. Noah turns to him coldly, asking why he's really here. She wants to hear the truth. Her eyes fixed on him, Ritoki admits he came out of concern. However, he understands that Noah won't believe his words, even if he says he loves her. Noah sarcastically responds to this, saying it sounds pathetic. She notes that she's glad he realized it, but her tone remains distant and uncompromising. Noah, lying in bed, noticed the weariness on Ritoki face. He admitted he hadn't slept all night, obviously worried about the situation. Ritoki came to Noah to apologize. His words sounded sincere, but his eyes betrayed the tension of remorse. The lieutenant general explained that General Flancy had used Noah to manipulate him. This revelation added a layer of gravity to their conversation. Ritoki revealed the truth about Flancy's corrupt practices. He had been embezzling money from the army for a long time and had connections to smugglers. Noah learned that Flancy had tried to frame her. The soldiers under his command had falsified evidence against her to eliminate her. Despite these intrigues, Noah would have normally been promoted to major. She was temporarily transferred to headquarters, away from threats. The lieutenant general admitted that Flancy had practically taken control of the situation. His smile betrayed his ulterior motives. Noah was indignant. Because of Ritoki, her career advancement was being delayed. She felt it was unfair to be a pawn in someone else's game. Ritoki agreed that his decision had been a mistake, but admitted that he had deliberately held her back to protect her from greater harm. Looking at Noah's sword, he noted her strange affinity for the weapon. This moment again highlighted their different perspectives on the situation. Noah lay in bed, weak and exhausted, but trying to remain calm. Ritoki worriedly inquired about her well-being. The man smiled slightly at her relief, his red eyes sparkling in the soft light of the room. In the dim light of the room, he reminded Noah of his past, telling him that he was the adopted son of the Marquis of Oceanus. In response to her surprised look, he explained that as a child, he had been homeless and lived on the streets until the Marquis saved him. With sadness in his voice, he admitted that he could have died, if not for the kindness of the Marquis, which radically changed his fate. His gaze grew serious as he remembered how his biological father left him with his mother, who soon died as well. He admitted that since then, he has been afraid to get close to people, fearing to lose them, as he did in the past. Ritoki noted that his story might be boring, but for him these memories remain very important. He added quietly that Noah could leave him now if he wished, but there was a note of tenderness in his words. However, seeing her determination, he finally felt relieved as he sat next to her and watched her strength and determination. Noah furiously accuses Ritoki of hypocrisy. Understanding his attempts to manipulate her, pity, Rhett laughs, enjoying her reaction. Noah, enraged, calls him a scoundrel, her blue eyes blazing with anger. This only heightens his amusement. Rhett admits he's pleased by her anger, because it means she cares about him. His touch on her hand adds to the intrigue. In a playful argument, Noah calls Rhett a pervert, and he only agrees, not hiding his pleasure from her words. She can't help but feel a surge of emotion, but her gaze softens as he wraps her in a warm embrace. Rhett assures Noah that only he can care for someone as wayward as she is. This touches her heart. He says that her anger at him only confirms how much she cares about him while hugging her tenderly. Rhett notes how much he enjoys watching her, sincere reactions to his every action. Her sweetness brings a warm smile to his face. Noah sheepishly calls him a pervert again, but the atmosphere between them becomes more and more cozy and trusting. Looking closely at Rhett, Noah asks him a question about love, feeling a mixture of hope and distrust. Noah recalls the moment she first met Ritakianus. The warmth of his gaze and touch fills her heart with light like fireworks. Ritokianus confesses his love. His vow sounds sincere, and Noah, slightly embarrassed, looks into his eyes, feeling a warmth in her chest. Noah reflects on her indecision. Her room is immersed in a cozy semi-darkness, as if reflecting her doubts and conflicting feelings. She realizes this may have been her last chance to abandon Ritakianus, but in the face of their feelings, they both take a step toward each other. The realization comes too late. The sun's light illuminates the empty room, symbolizing missed opportunities and the irreversibility of decisions. A discussion erupts in the barracks. Rumors of Noah's affair with Ritokianus leave her fellow soldiers perplexed and worried about her fate. Noah, tired from all this talking, tries to remain calm. Her gaze, filled with slight weariness, speaks of an internal struggle. Her colleague Ami teases Noah, but it only brings embarrassment. Her emotions are a mixture of irritation and surprise. Ami hints that the lieutenant general has been secretly visiting Noah. Her slight mockery provokes indignation, and her words seem to pique the others' curiosity. Excitement flares among her coworkers. They discuss their bets, which only increases Noah's anxiety. Her expression suggests the situation is spiraling out of control. The city's majestic architecture serves as the backdrop for a discussion of the stolen ship's fate. Ami shares rumors of Admiral Abello's stern orders. Noah anxiously asks what will happen to the knights, apparently fearing for their fate. Her face expresses tension and curiosity. Ami explains that the knights belonging to the royal order have been sent to the capital under guard, emphasizing their special status. The past is revealed. The knights were threatened and forced to participate in the crime. Now their information could mitigate their punishment. Noah, reflecting on what happened, suspects that Rhett interfered with the situation. Her internal monologue reveals her anxiety. Ami tries to distract her friend from work by offering to share personal news. There's a light, friendly atmosphere between them. Teasingly, Ami asks if Noah has managed to mend fences with the lieutenant general. Her smile radiates friendliness. Noah seems unwilling to reveal her feelings, avoiding the topic, despite her friend's good-natured pressure. Ami assures Noah that as a best friend, she can be a confidant, enhancing the feeling of closeness and understanding. After a brief conversation, Noah admits that she is truly reconciled with the lieutenant general. Her face lights up with relief and joy. The girl criticizes the senior officer for his cunning, while he rejoices in earning money. The atmosphere is light with a touch of irony. Another officer, standing by the door, discusses the situation with disbelief. A conversation can be heard in the room, causing him to feel uneasy. The focus is on a man with white hair. He calmly answers the phone, confirming the instructions he received. A white-haired officer emerges from his office, meeting a colleague. Their gazes meet, and the conversation grows tense. In response to a colleague's question, the lieutenant general notes the excessive pickiness and strictness of his superiors, which makes him smile slightly. They continue their discussion, and the officer notices that the admiral, despite the difficult situation, remains confident and stern. The green-haired officer suspects the admiral's motives and hints at possible betrayal. His words sound like a challenge. The atmosphere grows tense. One of the heroes notices the admiral's suspicious behavior, which deepens his doubts. The arrested man's hands are shown bound behind his back. The chief discusses the motives for the arrest, emphasizing the importance of further investigation. Ritokianus emphasizes that the situation is far from over, hinting at future difficulties and the uncovering of new conspiracies. A conspiracy involving one of the fleet's admirals and two knights of the royal order is causing alarm among the participants of the meeting. Ritoke Yanis and his associates try to figure out why these particular figures are involved in the case, doubting their true intentions. The idea of a merger between military forces and a knightly order surprises Ritoke Yanis. He cannot understand how such a thing could be possible. Against the backdrop of a calm sea, the possibility of new accomplices is discussed, hinting at a hidden threat beyond the obvious. The green-haired commander asks about the next steps, not hiding his concern. Rita Cassianus makes an unexpected decision. The lieutenant general announces his intention to begin wedding preparations, filling the situation with unexpected lightness and emotional change. Noah expresses confusion over Ritoke Yanis's decision to marry. She's unsure how much his decision relates to current events. Ami, present at the conversation, exclaims that Noah has forgotten how sincerely Ritoke Yanis proposed to her, emphasizing its seriousness. Reflecting on their reconciliation, Ami points out that, after such a turn of events, marriage might be a logical step to strengthen the relationship. Noah admits that anger has blinded her in recent days. She recalls Ritoke Yanis's proposal, realizing her mistake and accepting his decision. Noah wonders if the girl will forgive her lover and marry him, her gaze full of doubts and reflections on the past. In the dorm, the girls discuss their dreams beyond the military. Ami asks Noah what she'd like to do, and tension fills the room. Unexpectedly, Noah replies that she wants to get married. This shocks everyone around her, as no one expected such an answer from her. Her friends try to find out if she has a boyfriend. Their reaction is full of surprise, as they thought Noah wouldn't be interested in such matters. Noah explains that she wants to marry the man her parents chose. She smiles, showing her calm and confidence in her choice. She shares her dream of a strong family that she will build with her chosen one, even if it will be difficult at first. Her imagination is filled with a happy picture. Amy jokingly remarks that her idea is reminiscent of ancient traditions, which sparks laughter in the group. The atmosphere lightens. They discuss Noah's conservative nature and her love of tradition. Ami admires her commitment to the ideals of family and honor. Amy asks if Noah plans to leave the service to get married. Noah is surprised and declares that she will continue her career. Her confidence impresses her friends. Ami jokes again, calling Noah grandmother noblewoman, adding a touch of levity to the serious conversation.